Time for a bath, time for bath, time for a bath, and time for bath. Time for a bath, time for bath, time for a bath, and time for bath.
I wish my refund hurry up so I can have a taxitude.
Time for a bath, time for bath, time for a bath, and time for bath.
I'ma be like, let me get 20 on pump 3.
Time for a bath, time for bath, time for a bath, and time for bath.
Matter of fact, make it 25, and yes, I would like to donate to the March of Dimes, so ring me up that Coke and candy bar 2 for $2.22 deal where $1 goes to March 2. Oh, and ring these Skittles up for my kid too. And when the cashier tells me to have a nice day, I'm gonna be like, no ma'am, you have a blessed day, sugar.
Time for a bath, time for bath, time for a bath, and time for bath.
Pull down my shades like Kim Kardashian, smile like Gabrielle Union.
Time for a bath, time for bath, time for a bath, and time for bath.
Flip my bundles like Nicki Minaj and queen out the door like Beyonce.
Time for a bath, time for bath, time for a bath, and time for bath.
Goofy face, goofy face, goofy face, heart, 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 muscle, muscle, muscle.
Time for a bath, time for bath, time for a bath, and time for bath.
Sassy black girl, sassy black girl, sassy black girl, kiss, kiss, kiss. Hashtag so what, hashtag I ain't shame, hashtag my money, hashtag call me taxitude honey.
Live from the Injured on the Go Just Call Mo studio.
It's a blast!
It's Orlando's own Tom and Dan.
Hello. This is your Mediocre Time with Tom and Dan program. We hope that you will find our presentation precise, joke heavy, and just right. Thanks.
Welcome to the Friday free show of A Mediocre Time.
Yes, it is another A Mediocre Time with Tom and Dan. I'm Dan.
I'm Tom.
On the couch, he was here with us Monday. I love having this guy around from the Orlando talk show, comedian Ross McCoy.
Hey guys. I appreciate Tom's commitment to like always providing new material and coming in today with a completely new and separate cold than he had on Monday.
Yeah, completely new symptoms.
No, it's just lingering.
It's in his chest.
Yeah, it's
yeah, it's traveled to you. Got it in your chest now.
Oh, it wasn't nearly this phlegmy on Monday.
Yeah, it's
or
real.
Tuesday.
It's sticky today.
Mm-hmm.
Have you been drinking milk?
I thought I could run it out, but it doesn't work like that.
Yeah, you said that running with this cold has
horrible.
been just hard. Yeah, real bad.
Are you a loogie hawker? Do you try to get it out of you, or you just let it sit in there?
No, well, it's yellow and brown.
I don't hawk loogie. Well, I will if I have a cold. There is something very satisfying, like getting up and going to the bathroom.
Mm-hmm.
And I have the old where it's like what do you call them? Where they're like molded, like the molded sink, where it's two sinks that are molded into one big. But that's how old my house looks.
Oh yeah.
That's called the 07.
Yeah, I think like a 05. I think you're being very kind to me. I got like an 04, 05. And I love launching I like them. I like blowing them in there, and then you put a little squirt of water on them to wash them down the drain. Just one squirt, and then they go down in there.
If I got like a chest cold, yeah, I got to get it out, and I'll hawk them into the tub until like the floor's covered, and then I'll rinse it down the drain.
I like that. Have you ever hawked them into the thing and let them dry, and then you got to chisel them off.
Yo,
Come on.
they
It's
stick.
true.
They're like it's
People do this shit, dude.
It's like if the alien gets loose in your ship, they stick like that.
Yeah. I do. It is satisfying to launch a loogie in there, and when they start to get clear,
Yeah.
I almost get a little like it's
End of an era.
almost
I
over.
miss
Yeah.
old brownie.
I got this thing that looks like an old timey like Abraham Lincoln pipe,
Yeah.
and it's got
An Abraham Lincoln.
yeah, like a clay pipe from Civil War or something, and so it's got like a ball in it, and you blow into it, and it's got like a top to the pipe area of it, and what you do is you breathe in kind of rhythmically. And it vibrates, and it vibrates your whole like throat and neck and thorax,
yeah.
so that like the real deep seated stuff kind of breaks loose, and it works.
Really?
It works if you can breathe like circularly like that and get it to shake at the right vibration. You got to find like angle and like breathing rhythm to get it to shake at the right
I need
vibration.
one of these.
But it
So I can be rattling the munga out of my.
rattles your chest, and it gets junk out.
What's
and
this thing called?
I forget.
This is amazing. I'm buying one.
But
I'm
like
buying one today. I'm buying one this weekend. I didn't know I could start rattling my own mung out of my chest.
I'll look at the-
Lung rattling kazoo.
Listen, now that I'm talking about it,
Lung rattling.
your phone's on, right? You're gonna get ads
hold
for
on.
it.
I'll do it right now. I'm gonna hold my phone.
100%, absolutely.
Lung rattling kazoo.
Real quick, BDM Appreciation Week is coming up.
Yeah, man.
At the end of the week, we do the BDM Appreciation Party. That's April 19th. If you're a BDM already, and a current paying BDM, that is, you got a email invite for you and a guest to the party. We've got Silver Linings Band playing. We've got a Magic and Whip show being performed.
The Magic Whip Show. Yeah, by April Jennifer Choi.
Yeah,
Scientist and magician.
DJ Sharp is starting the whole party.
DJ Khaled will be playing his Bob Marley tribute.
And all for BDMs. And if you're not a BDM, you can still sign up because we will send out the information one more time.
Cabanas? Are we doing that?
We got cabanas.
Okay. I don't want to give away too much.
I'll announce when they're going on sale on Monday's BDM show, which is also a perk of being a BDM. You get a separate show every week. We'll do another party towards the end of the year for BDMs only. But anyway, you have to be a BDM. Sign up at TomandDave.com.
Basically the same place, different show.
Yeah, and you could think you're a BDM, but you probably had your subscription lapse.
Yeah.
And you are no
because
longer.
all of you have lapsed.
Because a lot of them.
Yeah, a lot of them have lapsed.
Right, think about how many people's Netflix subscriptions lapsed over 20 years.
The ones I like the most are the ones where the people write me and they're like, hey, man, I'm sorry to do this, but things are tough and I got to cancel my account. And I'm like, okay. And they need a little help with it. And then I go in there and I realize they have 9 active accounts. And I cancel the one because the 8 are still just cranking away. The 8 of their accounts are just still cranking on their, Because
that would be me. I don't know what's going on.
Because what people do is they sign up for our thing and then because we are best consumed drunk. So people get drunk and then they're trying to log in and they can't log in and they're like, it's just $1.95. I'll do a new one, and they do a new one.
Really?
And I can't stop you from doing that. I'm not going to stop you.
And then they have a bunch of accounts.
Yeah, you have a bunch of accounts, and then I have to go in there and it gets messy.
So last night was at Hollerbach's German restaurant in downtown Sanford.
Yeah, what are you doing? Cheating on your wife? What are you doing?
For
that would be a good place to cheat on your wife.
For a celebration.
They got real roomy bathrooms. You're right.
They do. Mm-hmm. They absolutely do.
Of Chef Pat. Because
the Oompa band gets going. Nobody can hear anything.
Exactly.
Chef Pat is celebrating 20 years of working at Hollerbach's.
Yeah, congratulations, Chef Pat.
So they put on a kind of a celebration. It was a surprise, which, by the way, it shocked me because
Patapalooza.
I thought there was going to be some sort of grandiose walk in and surprise, because I was in there and I was looking and I'm like, where's the pork shank?
Your anxiety.
And then someone
did you do your thing where you're like, I got to do a speech for Pat. you did your thing, right? Where you're
prepared one.
You're driving over. He always does this, where any event that he's being called to, could be anything. He could be judge at a chili cook-off. He could be helping the Special Olympics.
Sure.
He could be just coming to my house just to play Cards Against Humanity. Driving over, he's like, what if they put me on the spot? And they say, does anyone want to say anything about Chef Pat and what he means to you? Tom, you say something, right? And that's your greatest fear.
I had a light stand-up because I was like, everybody likes some jokes.
Yeah.
So I'll tell some jokes, some heartfelt, and then you end with the heartfelt.
Yeah, you know what I say? Schnitzel happens. Hey, comedy's back, everybody.
And then they start playing. Anyway, so I thought I was going to be surprised, and then someone tapped me on the shoulder, and I turned around to Chef Pat, and he's like, "Oh, thank you,
missed the surprise. What are you doing here?"
Well, it wasn't, he was surprised to him, but it wasn't the old jump out.
So you ruined the surprise.
No, everybody was there for Chef Pat, and then I'm sure some customers.
No, but you were confused, and you wandered in, and you're like, "Where's Chef Pat?" And then you ruined it.
Yeah, Germany's got a real bad rap with surprises, so they keep it pretty low key now.
Yeah, I mean, dude, the surprise thing is not really a thing anymore, right? Or is it? Because remember, I went to one. I feel like it's coming back. I just went to one.
Yeah. I think people like doing it for someone more than the person likes it, right?
Then why do we do it? Then I would question, why do we do it? Right.
Is it like a funeral? It's not for you. It's for like the people.
I think it is for surprise parties.
Yeah. Okay.
The surprise is for the people that want to surprise.
Yeah. Because even Chef Pat is like, I hate surprises. So, but anyway,
I wish I wasn't here.
Congratulations.
You know what's
Chef
a good
Pat.
surprise? Like, hey, happy 20 years in surprise. Take the day off. We got the kitchen for today.
Yeah.
Go to the beach or something. You know.
But he had been a little suspicious. They called him in on his 20-year anniversary of working there. Anyway. But so congratulations. They brought in a wrestling manager from WWE. And they gave him a custom wrestling belt.
I asked Tracy who it was, and she said it was Adam Pearce.
Yeah.
And then Tracy said it's Adam Pearce, and then she sent me a picture of Pat McAfee. Tracy, what are you doing?
Hey, it was a really cool belt.
I don't believe it was. Did Pat McAfee give Chef Pat a belt? Was it Pat on Pat Crime?
So we ate delicious food.
What'd you get?
And
because I was so upset.
Yeah.
Eisbein, the pork shank.
The pork. Have you had the pork shank?
No. Huh?
I've only had it one time. This guy's fueled by it.
Sauerkraut and potatoes.
It's so good.
Oh, fall off the bone.
Yeah, it's amazing.
Yeah, it was a little mustard. But I was the only one that ate everything on their plate, and like fast too. And my family complains about how fast I eat, and I'm just like, you guys eat slow. What are you waiting for?
Well, how fast are we talking? What,
I
done in 7.5 minutes? Or?
I finished before everybody.
You know, that's one thing that they'll never serve in prison is pork shank. You can have that one, Tom.
True.
You can have that one for your speech.
All right, I'll write that down. So anyway, at the end of the dinner, and there was
we chirp it, or you sitting there quietly?
Oh no, I give them what they want.
Yeah, you throw a couple stories. You give them the full.
Yeah, everybody. There's BDMs there. So Norm, his girlfriend Crystal was there.
Great.
Simone was there.
Now I know why you went. He's still trying to suck her titties.
Link and Jennifer Ulmer. And Christine were there, and I was sitting around everybody. Brendan O'Connor, Scotty showed up, Bus
trying to suck
Decker,
Brendan's titties.
and of course Tracy, some of Tracy's friends. Anyway, it was
and
a huge
I'd like to
table.
give a special shout out to everybody that Tom just forgot.
No, I think he got most people. I think he got most of them. Yeah.
And
missed somebody and they're pissed.
So so the time was at the end of the dinner. It was time, like the waitress came by and was asking everybody for their credit card.
Did you split it up like you do the weird thing and?
Yeah, well, everybody was paying for themselves or like the couple they're with or whatever. But then I came up with the idea. I was like, you know what? I was talking to Norm and Crystal the majority of the night.
Did you do card roulette?
And no, we didn't. But
you ever done that?
No.
I've never done that.
No.
I said in my mind, I'm like, you know what? I'm gonna pay for Norm and Crystal's dinner
well,
tonight.
hold on a second. You were yelling at me yesterday about this guy's got me on a financial leash that you have no idea.
We're paying $80 a month for a voicemail.
He's yelling at me crazy about this stuff around here, but he's
7 years.
Yeah, this guy goes to Hollerbach. He's throwing his dick around like a madman.
What about a
but
car?
I can't do something that helps the show. God forbid we help the show, but he's in there swinging his money dick around in the German restaurant.
Yeah, people emailing you, what would you like, Mr. Dennis? Anything for $80 a a month, and you're like, no, nothing today, sir. We never need nothing. It's just a voicemail.
No.
Anyway.
It's a vanity number, and it is the voicemail of my voice telling everybody, plus music, plus Dan Stone. All of our voicemails are held in a thing where I can access it.
Yeah, but voicemails are free.
Okay, and so we'll end it because I know this really bothers him. If you can set up the new voicemail system, we'll get rid of it.
Oh, impossible task. Anyway.
And this is the voicemail you use for the show?
Yeah, and we have for like the last 7
Sure
years.
sounds like you could write that off.
We do. Yeah,
Well,
we do.
there you go.
It's
free
just,
fucking
it's just an
voicemail.
expense. He's
Well,
just
I
very cheap, like my wife. And it's getting worse. Both of them are getting crazy. Like this, I have a pink fucking walker because I'm my cheap wife. She tried to pawn me off with a big Ralphie, big obese person one that she borrowed from somebody. Why does everything have to be a scam? Why does everything have to be from Craigslist? Why does everything have to be like in a parking lot? Why does everything have to be fucking cheap? Both of you guys are driving me insane.
Are you not getting that nice cold steel sword cane that we talked about? That?
I can't
The
afford
dragon?
it. She
You're
won't
not
let
getting
me
the
get it.
dragon
It's
at work
like
sword
$2.99.
cane? Oh,
Use
my
a
God.
stick. I'll get you one from outside.
I do like use a stick.
It's the same thing.
Yeah.
Okay, continue.
Anyway.
Sorry.
So I was like,
Sorry.
you know, I'm gonna pay for Norm and Crystal's dinner tonight.
Can I give you a compliment?
Because
I'm proud of you.
Because Crystal helped us with our BDM shirts last year.
She did.
And I made a lot of false promises
You
with
did,
her.
you did.
And then I forgot about it. And then so I was like, oh
You
yeah.
talk very big.
It's coming
we were
up
supposed
again.
to have a catered lunch that day.
So I'm
and
gonna
I
pay-
don't think, correct me, weren't we supposed to order food and we did not?
Yes.
Because we ended
Wow.
ended
Well, we ended
so
too
early.
early.
We ended so early that Tom was like, well, didn't make lunch, so no need.
Wow.
That's what Scrooged us, right? That's
Don't
a
you
fucking
declare
Scrooge move.
brunch at that point?
No,
Like,
he said, wow, I really overestimated the time, so no need to get Papa John's. Oh, yeah.
early enough for you to get your own peanut butter
Yeah,
sandwich.
oh, wow,
Mhm.
breakfast is still in my belly.
So anyway, the bill comes and I'm like, and then the waitress goes to hand Norm the check, and I'm like, no.
Oh, you did it. Yes.
I'm like, I will be taking care of their check.
No, I got
ma'am.
it. Yeah.
And so I gave them the card,
Yeah.
and then she's like, okay. And
Wait,
then,
did you do the move where you gave him a card? You were like, hold on, not that one.
yeah,
Because that does suck a little air out, right?
yeah.
The people that do that where they're like, and here, I'll take. Well, hold on, not that card. And not that. Oh, do this one.
This one will work. You're like, what?
I love that when people do that. I love it.
So anyway, but then all the other BDMs started because
They like bullying you, dude.
Well, they were
They
like,
love bullying
oh,
you.
why'd you pay
This
for
is
their
why I should
dinner?
have been there. I would have not let them bully you. I would have stood up for you.
Well, no, because then I was like, well, because Crystal helped us fold T-shirts for last year's BDM appreciation. I'm
did,
paying her
sure.
back.
She did.
And then the other BDMs brought up the fact that they have also helped me a lot with favors that I've asked them to do.
Yeah.
Like Simone
give
has
me
helped
some
me with my
examples.
triathlon.
Give me some examples.
Okay, Simone, she was there. She helped me with my triathlon and all
For
the
free,
training.
yeah.
lent Crystal her bicycle
Yeah.
that I haven't returned yet.
Yeah,
It's still in my
right.
garage.
Well, you said it's your bike now. In fact, you guys still write it like it is your bike. That's the thing, is
been
it
a
just like my
year,
Sawzall? When he borrowed my Sawzall, if he keeps it for a long enough time,
Yeah.
and I think maybe he goes full delusional like a real psychopath and believes
No,
it is his.
I mean,
like he thinks that bike is Crystal's and that the Sawzall that I gave him like 25 years ago is his Sawzall.
I keep saying, I'm going to get this back. And she's like, oh, okay, whatever. And I'm like, okay. Well, so whatever means, or you could be dead by the time you get it back. Anyway. So then Link and Jennifer were like, what about us? We've done you favors.
They have.
And then Christine, obviously, lots of favors.
Oh, my God.
Tracy.
Many. Christine was there.
Yeah,
And you didn't pay for Christine?
Bus Decker, Brendan O'Connor,
Bus,
Scotty.
I mean, Bus is fine. You can leave him out.
I looked at the whole table. I was like, well, technically everybody did me favors. And then I looked at myself.
Oh, my God. It was like the table of favor makers.
You're like a reverse Godfather.
Yeah. Were you at the head of the table?
and I started to feel like a piece of shit because I was like, wait a minute, how many people have done me favors? Everybody I know?
Let's go through your contacts.
Yeah. Raise your hand if you did a favor at this table.
Like, you know how many listeners have done me favors?
Yeah.
And then I was like, man, should I take a
Christine
good
says,
hard look in the mirror and ask myself
Christine-
what kind of person I am?
Christine is a great listener, a great friend of the show. She's given us art. She's given us gifts. She's given our families gifts.
She worked to manage a beer fest
She's
multiple
managed
times.
a beer fest for us. She's come in like in her off time to help us with very small things that we need done. She said that she was there and her tits were out and you ignored her.
That's a lie. I didn't ignore it. I was
She
looking
said
at
it
him.
herself.
Looking at him the whole time.
And he didn't make you want to pay for her meal?
Well, yeah, I did, but I was like, I didn't want to waste money, like voicemail over here. I was targeting. I can't just start buying everything. We got no money.
I'm voicemail.
Anyway, so then I started thinking, like, there are two types of people in this world.
Givers and takers?
Well, just people that are comfortable with receiving and asking for favors.
Givers and takers?
And like Daniel doesn't ask for favors. And it's a weird personality trait. But
I get too weirded out about it. I'd rather do it myself.
But I truly believe, like, when someone offers me a favor or offers to do something, like, and then I'm like, I do the thing where I'm like, you sure? And they're like, yeah, okay. And then I'm like, start packing.
Yeah. Stuff your pockets for all the free food you can get. You do that, right?
No.
Hey, is all of this food free? Yeah. Please, yeah. Just, within reason. All right, kids, stuff your pockets with as many hot dogs as you can steal.
But I think they're fine with it. And then I also think it makes people feel good to give someone a favor.
Why do you think that, though?
Huh?
Why do you think that?
It's better for me to think.
Right.
It's the only way that you can get past doing it. I don't know. But I think some
It's
people are
it's
fine
like when
with
you
it.
hit your wife, you tell yourself, she likes it when I hit
Like,
her.
Ross, do you ask for favors from people? Like, do people, like, if you sat down at a table at a German restaurant and looked around, would everybody at the table, could you think of a favor they've given you?
When's the last time you took the Tom Van favor test? If you're ever at a German restaurant and you sit down and you're at the head of the table, look down the table, how many people would raise their hand and say that they have committed a favor for you?
I've taken a favor or two.
So you're a favorman.
I've taken some favors.
Okay.
Are you over 50% favors, in the middle, or less favors? Because I would probably be what, less favors?
Oh yeah, I don't even know of any favors. Like, I mean, I think it would be hard for you to name 10 favors listeners have given you over 30 years of broadcasting.
It would, yeah.
I could name 10 favors listeners gave me last week.
The only one, odd stuff here and there, but the only one I thought of two I abused.
Okay.
One guy, and this guy doesn't live in state anymore, so you can't get him coppers. One guy, I gave this guy and his wife a ride home from that sod festival. We did where like
that was the first medium event.
Everybody got blind drunk and then got kicked out of the parking lot.
That was a rough one.
And then not to go like, but now 10 plus years later, we're bringing another whip show. Ron was at the first BDM party at that sod farm.
It all comes around.
At Suggs.
And here's a fun fact. Here's a fun fact. We've had 2 whip shows at Tom and Dan events. We're going to have a new one. Both performers minorities. We will not, and I'm going to stand on my business here. We will not ever have a Caucasian whip show as long as I run this. As long as I run this business with you. We'll never have a white whip show. I'll never have that.
With the first BDM party we did, it was
a very fun party.
At a nursery.
So
Yeah, can I say something I've been wanting to say for a long time?
Porky's Barbecue and then we bought 5 kegs of Bud Light and we just gave it out.
Can I say something I've been wanting to say for a long time because nothing is around anymore. It's all changed. We had a 14-year-old bartender with big titties.
Give Bud Light.
Give Bud Light to people. And I had to ask her to cover her cleavage up because somebody told me she was 14.
No, she wasn't 14. She was from Porky's. She was 17 at least.
She was not of age to be serving beer. And I said, hey, how about we put a Tom and Dan shirt on her big naturals because she's fucking a teenager. Please? For the love of God, please.
She had to been like 20.
And I wasn't even in dad mode then. I was, Ross, you'd have been proud of me. Not even a dad then. Not even.
We had Craig from Pirate Spot set up fireworks in the middle of Suggs Lake.
Yeah, he had to row a boat out. He had to row a boat out to a grass island.
And then he set up fireworks. There was like a McDonald's place, the thing, people were smoking weed in.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
And then Angel was DJing.
Yeah, he was. He's the one that told me the girl was 14. Because Angel's like, hey, because Angel, he's like, hey, she should not be. And I'm like, what are you talking about?
It started raining, and then Ron was whipping his whip. Where did Ron get that whip
Ron
from?
also took his shirt off, and he was just standing there almost nude. He was almost nude in a field. I don't know where he got the whip.
We had a guy there with a goddamn ankle bracelet.
We did? We won't
So
say.
much banana pudding.
What kind of Chris he was. Because he can't say it anymore.
Yeah, he can't say
but
it
at the
anymore.
time, people were chanting it.
Oh my
Different
God.
time.
Yeah, it was a different time.
Anyway.
Okay, anyway, yeah.
Yeah, anyway, I gave her a guy ride home from that, and they were like, hey, come check this out while you're here at his house. And he had this is Friday, right?
Yeah.
He had a fucking giant grow room. Like a giant fucking
Oh,
weed
really?
grow room. And his job was to, like, High Times would send him seeds. He'd grow the plant and then take pictures of it. And, like, and so that guy, I started hitting him up. I was like, hey, sell me, like, a quarter. And he would, like, bring me, like, 2 ounces and just be like, just take it. It's not worth the trouble for me. And,
Really?
And I give him, like, $25 or whatever. And
Was this
For 2
very
ounces
was this
of
a
weed?
very elaborate setup?
oh, so elaborate.
Because Drew Garabo, I don't mind. Let's just air
No,
everything.
Pops.
But
I'm
then
going
the
all
only
Don't
names.
say his name.
I'm going all names.
The
and
only
I
reason
won't-
I'm telling the
I won't
story
say
is
the guy's
this
name.
guy moved to Colorado like a month later. I only got to buy
okay.
weed from him like twice, and then it was over.
Well, Drew introduced me to a guy. I'm not gonna say his name, but then I went over to his house, and it like you could smell it. Like as soon as you got there, you're like, oh, this is weed, and you open the door, and the entire house was the facility. It was not a house. It was just like
grow house.
yeah, it was just a, and it was one of the ones that they were putting some sort of material on the ceiling to try and stop the heat lamps from the helicopters of looking at.
Oh, no
Yeah,
shit.
Because they would fly, and these guys were they were trying to figure out a way.
That's
and I
wild.
remember, like Drew brought me over there, and I'm walking around, and the guy emailed me while I was recovering from my hip thing. He's like, "Hey, I hope you're feeling better. I'm not in that game anymore, but I was the guy that you went over. That Drew brought me over to, brought you over to my house,
That's
and I
awesome.
had the grow operation. I still listen. I'm still in the area. I don't do anything like that anymore.
Mm-hmm.
But at one point, this guy's like was a." Full-on owned a house that was nothing but marijuana.
How ridiculous, because we're old enough that when we see that, we're like, oh, shit, like, this is
I was
real
scared.
criminal.
I was scared.
And there are weed dispensaries every single block of this goddamn entire state where you can walk in. No, it's so ridiculous.
I've been
that,
to some weird shit.
But I'm still stuck in the mindset of, like, if you had a grow room, I'd be scared, like, immediately, like, oh, FBI is going to kick down
Here's
the
another
door.
one.
And it's like, let's fucking sell it on the side of the street next to Kmart.
Oh, you know my buddy Shane that's working. He's wiring my scooter. By the way, lights are working. He's got I think we're close, man.
What?
Yeah. I mean, he sent me a video of my 1959 Vespa VBA with the electric swing arm engine in there. The lights work. The horns work. He's remounting a couple of things. He's putting some finishing touches on it to make it better. So I won't have to carry the charger with me.
I hope one person has one left hourglass beer and opened it when you finally get it done.
And then they drink it.
He's like, oh, skunk too.
He introduced me to a guy, and then this guy, I won't say this guy's name because I don't know if he's in town anymore, but he took me, because he wanted to buy weed, he took me to this black guy's house in a very, a very black area of Orlando that's known for bad drug activity. And we go into the area, and I'm just riding along with the guy just because we had nothing to do. He goes in to buy the drugs, and he's like, come on in, let's go inside. When I go inside, I realize that this guy is a big-time drug dealer, and in the back of his house are nothing but high-end pit bull kennels. And he's selling very, very high-end pit bulls as like his real job.
Okay,
And then on the side, he's selling massive amounts of marijuana. But these dogs are being sold for in upwards of $10,000.
Are they like fighting dogs?
They were bred. I'm trying to remember.
Purebred pit bulls?
They were, but it's the style of the way that they sit. It's the way that the dog presents itself. Like its jaws may be huge, and its chest may be super wide, and they breed them to be like the rap video dog.
Rap album.
It's
cover
like
dog.
a stereo. The whole thing
exactly.
I was like walking into a stereotype, and I was scared because everything in there, there were guns, there was weed, and there were dogs, and
like
and
a rap video.
It was I did not belong there, right? This is why am I here? Why am I here? Because this guy was to buy weed, and now I'm at
I
some.
wonder if that goes hand in hand, because I remember my dad got sober when I was 6, but I remember before that he had a friend, And like
somebody said fighting dogs, and I thought that too. And I'm not gonna count that out. It may have been fighting dogs.
way later in life, I identified the smell that my dad and his friend always had as being like weed. I was like, that was weed smell. They were always smoking weed, and that guy raised beagles.
All right.
Oh, I just wanted. I've never made that connection before. Like guys with weed and beagles or dogs.
Well, dog breeders are different. You know, they like to party.
Yeah, I mean, I do love my dog.
Did I tell you guys how stupid my dog is on Monday?
No.
My dog. I'm out walking my dog, right, and we're walking down the sidewalk next to a road. Dog in a truck comes by, right. Dog barks from the truck. My dog looks over, but the truck's moving, so the truck and dog are gone by the time my dog looks where the bark came from. Dog barks again. My dog looks from the first bark area to the second bark area. Truck's gone again. So my dog doesn't see anything again. The whole rest of the walk, my dog is like flinching and looking for invisible dogs. I'm like, you're so dumb.
So Daniel told me a story this morning that is hilarious.
Oh, do you want to shift into this guy?
And
I mean, it was just Snow White. I didn't think it was that funny, but
you mean Snow Brown?
Anyway. Should I not laugh? It was hilarious.
What podcast are you listening to? I want to get that in my feed.
The right one.
Yeah.
So
Welcome back to the Snow Brown podcast.
So Daniel told me about a story about this police chief in New Jersey.
I just heard my wife laughing in bed this morning, and I'm like, what are you laughing about?
And the story came out about this police chief that, and then when the list of the stuff he was doing. Okay, so imagine if Seth Petrozelli was a police chief.
Yeah.
And imagine
Which
what
would
he
be
would
an
be
awesome
doing.
fucking television show, by the way.
Yeah, it's like that,
Chief
but worse.
Petrozelli even sounds like a real cop.
Because Daniel sent me the story, I'm reading it, and like he multiple times he defecated on the floor in front of everyone, and then one time he defecated on the desk. Ross, what other things have you done?
Pooped in a trash can and left it there for days.
Yeah.
Yeah, the monsters did that with the butt plug. We pulled the butt plug out of the stripper, and she shit in the trash can. And just stayed there for days.
It's a radio DJ thing.
Yeah,
just pooping
that
in
is
trash
a radio DJ thing.
Just in the first, this is a TMZ article, just in the first paragraph, defecating on the floor, spiking officer's coffee with Viagra and Adderall, sticking a hypodermic needle into the penis of a subordinate.
How do you do that? Do I sneak up behind him and jab him in the cock with a hypodermic
Are you
needle?
holding his...
What would you do to me? Real talk. You're in the bathroom, and I run in there. I open the door because I know you don't lock it. I run in there, and as your pig, I stab you right in the base of your penis with a hypodermic needle. Would you just punch me in the face?
Well, first, you wouldn't be able... I feel like that would be incredibly hard to stab someone in the penis.
You've
with a
never
hypodermic...
seen me stab.
Yeah, like you'd see it coming, right? Anyway.
Hey, I see what you're doing.
He exposed himself to the entire office and said, quote, "Hey, look, it's bigger than you thought, right?" End quote.
That's what Andrea laughed at. Hey, look, it's bigger than you thought.
Pooped on the floor, pooped in the, they have a picture of him shaving body hair on work desk.
Yeah, here he is. I got the picture up. So now this is what made me think of the kind of the angle that all of these guys at this, like this is Reno 911. They're a bunch of fucking idiots. Every cop at this precinct is a fucking moron. And that's not me talking about cops. That's these guys.
Sure.
All of these guys are dumb because if you look at this picture of him shaving his body hair on the guy's desk, the guy sitting there isn't like, look, what are you doing? Like, he's like, oh, okay, I see what you do. I'm going to get you back. I'm going to put pubes in your ice cream. Like, these are a bunch of fucking morons, right?
This is what, like, MMA guys do to each other at the gym.
These are low IQ karate gym owners.
All
of these guys.
Fits of rage, ripping a TV off the wall, smashing it, smashing picture frames, throwing
here's
eggs.
a picture of the poop on the ground, and somebody wrote, Chief Farley's defecation. And it's just sitting on the ground.
This is like real life Super Troopers, right?
We are.
There's
Oh my
fucking
God,
around.
you're right. It is like real life Super Troopers.
We are halfway into the article.
Okay. So.
Smearing ink on door handles, poking holes in coffee cups, sneaking dangerously hot peppers into coworkers' food, including one time such a meal got microwaved, causing fumes so unbearable the fire department was called.
Hold on. Is there hot peppers that you can microwave that are that it would
If
fill
you-
the whole.
It almost doesn't sound real. There's a photo of like, here's the TV he smashed. The next photo I'm showing you is of like some dildo, a big black dildo he stuck to a door.
One officer accused him of harassing him and his family at home with the delivery of inappropriate items such as gay pride flags, dildos, and masturbation cream.
Oh, it's that thing you see on Facebook. It's the gay
what
cruise.
Corey Bryant did to Butler. Corey Bryant sent Butler a bunch of tubes and said, "Here's your big gay dildo." I'm sorry.
There's like pranks. I see them. They're like big gay cruise. On your front
your
door.
AIDS test came back. You've got double AIDS.
Kenny Powers, right? Like the real life Super Troopers, Kenny Powers.
Back before the internet, my dad and my uncle would do this to each other on their birthdays, and they'd have to go to like specialty shops, and they'd find like chronic diarrhea sufferers, and just big on the envelope, stuff like that.
Yeah.
So the
Guinness Book of World Records, largest hemorrhoid.
Exactly.
You win.
Exactly.
So some new recruits turned this guy in or something, because like this has been going on probably since the 90s, right? This guy's been a police chief for I think a long time, right?
Some of the stuff he did is just wild. Like he smashed TVs, smashed picture frames, and this is a funny one. He would throw eggs at other cops.
They're fucking around, but obviously insanely inappropriate behavior.
I think you got to clear house. The problem here is not the chief. The problem here is the culture of the department.
Right.
I think you got to clear house, right?
Well, the chief is the top. I mean, he's shitting on the floor.
Yeah, so everybody there is doing a bit of this, though.
Right.
Everybody there.
Well, except for the new recruits that came
Right.
in. They're like, what the fuck? And then, like,
Have you ever
started
shit on
making-
the floor?
No.
Have you ever shit on the floor?
Like on purpose?
Now, well,
I don't think so.
my friends
haven't
have
either.
peed on me and things like that
Yeah.
as pranks back.
So
you
you're
know.
closer to the chief than we are.
And like pee, like the popular
You're
thing.
our chief.
In high school, a popular prank was at like high school parties was to pee in an empty Old English bottle or some sort of quart of beer.
Yeah.
And then pee into it and then put in the fridge for someone to be drunk enough to grab it in the fridge and drink. And then everybody laughed. They were drinking the pee.
That's a rough go.
Yeah, that happened a lot.
Yeah, that's a rough go.
Yeah. But I mean, that's what you do in high school parties.
Is it?
Yeah, I didn't do any of that.
Like your chief
It's
McCreary.
That's a Miami thing. We never
No, everybody peed in bottles.
I never
and gave
peed-
it to your friend.
I never did that.
That happened.
We've talked about this before. I believe
That happened. Our listeners are shaking their head like, I did that too.
If we took a poll, I'll put it on the media.
more pee than not.
You think so?
Yeah.
If this is the new sit stand,
What do you want to bet?
yeah. What do you want to bet?
If you get
you-
stupid
Put your
shit
piss
when you're
jug where
young.
your mouth is.
If it's less, then you have to drink an old English bottle of my piss, like one sip.
I like it.
One sip of piss.
So my favorite part about these stories is the eventual like court case,
Yeah.
and then everybody's in the courtroom, and there's a judge there that's super serious, and then everybody's wearing suits and stuff. And the police officers are wearing like their police officer like.
Their formal attire.
Their formal attire with the all the decorations they got. You know,
It says here that you were sending masturbation cream to children. Is that right? Is that right? Lowers his glasses a little bit.
Or some like uptight, prosecutor is like. Super proper. They have to read the entire statement. Like the defendant placed pubic hair on Officer Richard's tuna salad and said, "quote Eat that pubes, retard." But I said, I said it
You weren't
because
saying that.
but they have to say the whole word against the court case or whatever.
Yeah.
Anyway, and then that's my favorite part is when you have super professional people have to say insanely ridiculous shit
Sometimes
that
they make
only a frat boy would
Sometimes
do.
they make the stenographer read it back too.
Yeah.
Which is
Yeah.
even weirder because
Yeah,
she
yeah.
has no life inside of her.
Yeah,
and
yeah.
she's not supposed to, right?
Yeah.
She's supposed to be a human computer. They're using those little symbols to write things very quickly, which I'm fascinated by. And they make her read something back, and it's just atrocious.
And she lifts her glasses as she has to read
she
it.
says, "Take that, you cunt." Whoa, like that blows your face off.
The guy had to, like, when you're shitting on the floor of the precinct in front
of people.
in front of her, like,
It sounds
never
fun.
dawned on
this
you?
This sounds really fun. This is what it feels like it's behind the scenes at Mr. Beast Beast games, right? Just people shitting on the floor. It's wild.
Now, this is
pubes everywhere.
This is a older person thing.
Howard Stern.
Yeah. Like, this is like, is what college football players did in the 90s. And like, this is what you see in MMA gyms.
But pubes is a white guy thing.
Yeah,
I don't think black guys shave their pubes on people's desks.
Clarence Thomas.
No, but I think we got that wrong. I think he was commenting on pubes.
Yeah,
I don't think it was his pubes.
Yeah. It was probably just an eyelash. And he said there's a pube on your Coke.
Yeah,
right?
like through a series of like the game telephone, I think we have thought, like the old wives' tale is that he cut some of his pubes and sprinkled it on Anita Hill's Coke. I don't think that happened.
He made a joke about it. That was the only thing.
Yeah,
I mean, in the late '90s, the craziest he could do as a politician is make a joke about putting a pube on a Coke.
Yeah.
And people are like, "Oh my god, it lasted this long." We still remember. We're like, "Oh my god."
I mean, now all politicians drink Cokes that are full of pubes.
Yeah.
All right, let's take a break, and then when we come back, we got some more stories. We got some voicemails.
We got a bunch of stuff. We got new music from Laura Jane Grace, The Gamblers, Common Saints, and Catbite, a nice, a new little female-fronted ska band that I really like. You'll like this. The name of the song is Mine, Me, Mine.
It's a mediocre time with Tom and Dan.
Put some respect on my name.
Respect our name.
I ain't gonna say it no more.
You crack-ass motherfuckers.
All right. You keep telling me yes, but you don't mean it. And you keep telling me no, and try to lean it. You giving me buts and maybes. You know this will drive me crazy. Why can't you tell it like it is? Let your yeah be yeah, and you know we know now. Baby, let your yeah be yeah, and you know we know now. Mama, because I'm on my God, and I'm watching you from head to toe. You better let your yeah be yeah, and you know we know. You wear a plastic smile, I know by your eyes. You speak with indefinite style. You're telling me lies. You've got to face reality. What is wrong with you and me? Why can't you free your honesty? Let your yeah be yeah, and you know we know now. Let your yeah be yeah, and you know we know now. Because I'm on my God, and I'm watching you from head to toe. You better let your yeah be yeah, and you know we know. You keep telling me yes, but you don't mean it. And you keep telling me no, and try to lean it. You giving me buts and maybes. You know this will drive me crazy. And why can't you tell it like it is? Let your yeah be yeah, and you know we know now. Come on, come on. Let your yeah be yeah, and you know we know now. That's right. Because I'm on my God, and I'm watching you from head to toe. You better let your yeah be yeah,
That is The Gamblers covering 1971 Jimmy Cliff. Let Your Yabby Yeah. That's a Jimmy Cliff cover. Go check out the original. Welcome back to Mediocre Time with Tom and Dan. I am Dan.
I'm Tom. Where are you going to be at, Ross?
Oh, coming up April 3rd, we do a lot of Orlando stuff. Jacksonville Scumbags, where are you at? I'm coming to Bunnell, Florida.
Oh,
Bunnell?
Bunnell.
Is that
I
how you
know
say it?
Bunnell.
Okay.
My mom worked in Bunnell.
No.
Yeah. Was a teacher
What?
there for many, many years.
Oh, it's at the school. No, it's at this place called State Street Social, brand new bar. I'm bringing a comedy show up. Right now, I'm still booking it, but you got Will Blaylock and Chris Buck on the books, so that's a good enough show to come just see.
Dude,
in my
Chris
opinion.
Buck is fire.
Yeah, Chris Buck, amazing comic. Does he come out to a Tom and Dan event or?
I met him one time, or maybe I saw him perform. I don't even know if he's been in here. I like that guy though a lot.
We'll get him in here sometime.
Yeah, I would love to talk to
any like good comic who comes through Florida gets him to open for him because he's just the best. And then Will Blaylock, you might remember from the Hard Rock.
Yes.
He featured for us at the Hard Rock that show, and he's just
it was
been
Dan
killing
Cummins, I think, that had
Dan uses Chris all the time. Yeah, I think that is who I'm thinking of when I'd say like people he features for people. He does for Dan Cummins.
And he wears
for
cool
sure.
hats, right? And has like a beard, and he's like
a
a
hat
smaller guy.
Yeah.
That guy rips.
He looks like he's Amish. He looks like if he was wearing different clothes, he'd be an Amish guy.
Yeah, he's great. Yeah,
he's amazing. Completely straight edge.
That's a hell of a show for a new little club, dude. Nice.
I just reached out to, and I tried to get Crespo too, but Crespo's busy. I just reached out to all the Jacksonville, killers.
That'll be fun.
And I'll probably bring a carload up from Orlando too, so that'll be a fun show. April 3rd, and then the 23rd. It's open mic night at the Bull and Bush, but we're gonna do character night. Come out. Rue Nafasat's gonna be hosting. Her or her cat or some bird is gonna be hosting, and I can guarantee a Ram Davesy appearance on the 23rd.
Hey, it's nice to see Ram making it out onto the stage a little more. I mean, I know that for a long time, just his recordings were what were making it out there, but it's good to see that he is taking his world tour.
He does a presentation called Money 101, and it does pretty well.
Okay, all right.
Good
to know. Good to know.
I like old school Florida towns that when you drive through, you're like, wow, you look around and there's like a smattering of houses and like maybe there's some sort of agriculture that's the main job, and then there's like one restaurant, like one little like Main Street, if you call it that, or it's like a fast food place, maybe the post office or whatever, and it's like, wow, it's a small little Florida town.
You're touching on one of my. It goes in the same vein of, and we haven't talked about this in a minute. But I've had plenty of time to think about it, of me living under a bridge, being alone by myself, leaving my family. Ross has been here for the majority, I think, of those fantasies, if you want to even call it that. What you're talking about, me owning a small, little, 3-room Florida house, like my old house behind Park Ave CDs, where it's just 3 rooms, 1 bathroom, little porch. I lock that thing tight. All I have is my TV, my computer, my cigarettes, and my dogs, and I just live in a sleepy little town. I never go outside, and I just left alone in that house, a little old man, big long beard, long camo hat.
Yeah, people live that way.
Yeah, there's something calling me, like the sirens called to pirates and sailors. Something is calling me to the rocks. Please, Daniel, come. Grow your hair very long. Grow your beard very long. Start wearing funny hats. Start wearing funny shoes, and live alone, leave your family, turn your back on them, and live alone in a tiny small house somewhere in Georgia, right? Those are the ones I see, the little Georgia shacks on the side of the road.
Grass driveway where the only like gravel or whatever worn out, like where it's dirt, is the tire tracks.
Yes.
But everything else grass.
I want it.
The tiny little porch.
I want it.
I want that. In there.
Why? Yes. What is it that?
There's always a Hardee's there.
Yeah.
You're like Hardee's.
Hardee's is
still
delicious.
Alive?
You've never had a monster thick burger. You've never had a monster thick burger.
They're only in small Florida towns.
Have you had a Hardee's cinnamon raisin biscuit?
No.
Have you had one? So no monster thick burger,
I ate a
no
Hardee's
cinnamon
before.
raisin biscuit. Have you ever had their fried chicken? My dad, Daniel R. Dennis, would swear on Hardee's fried chicken as the best fried chicken in the fucking world.
If the Hardee's and the gas station are 2 separate buildings, that's too big of a town.
Yeah.
Get the gas station is always some weird brand like Sunoco. You're like, Sunoco? What the fuck?
Unical. That was the one my dad used, the 76, the orange
Yeah.
76 Unical. My dad would not get gas at any place other than a 76 Unical station.
I appreciate. I want like a stop and go or something. I don't like these fancy branded.
What
gas
is that?
stations.
Anyways, not to interrupt, but yeah, that is the little house. There's something about those little places that you're talking about that I look at and I'm like, because you see they might be a tiny little backyard. But I'm like a little bench out there. I was like, oh, that looks so nice to just go back there and sit.
Real fertile ground for you. There's an interstate that runs between like Statesboro, Georgia, and Savannah, Georgia, and it's nothing but like flashing yellow lights and tiny little one gas station towns, dude. Like nothing but that.
I got one. The one that I remember, and then we'll do some voicemails. One that I remember driving with my dad, it was 663 miles from DeLand, Florida to Martinsville, Virginia. That I know. It's burning in my brain. From where we were at, 663 miles. We driving the way my dad would go, he could make the fastest he ever made it was like a little under 6 hours because we were hauling ass to get to a funeral. And then we'd stop in this little town, and I fell in love with this town, and this is how far this fantasy goes back, of dreaming of living alone in a little shack as a little old man. Cheraw. There's a town called Cheraw, and you pass through Cheraw, I think, going to Florence. And Cheraw, South Carolina, that's it. That's the spot. I think there's like 9 people that live there. 4 of them are white. 5 of them are black.
But you're like, who lives here? What do they do?
I don't know. But I'm fascinated. Cheraw. That's where I'm going.
And then in certain like small agricultural Florida towns, there's like a real tiny hole in the wall Mexican restaurant that when I always drive by, I'm like, I bet they have the best Mexican food, like the most authentic, because it's like for the agricultural workers that live around there.
There's a taqueria up here there's no. I mean, like you walk in there and they're like, "What are you doing here?"
Yeah, that's the best food.
It is the best food. Yeah.
Cheraw town on the PD River.
PD River, yeah.
In Chesterfield County, South Carolina. 5,040 at the 2020 census.
Yeah. I had 2,000 in my high school.
Nicknamed the prettiest town in Dixie.
Oh, that's racist.
Well, the nickname came a long time ago.
But what do you do now? If Dixie chicks can't use it, Dixie Dharma, God bless them.
Oh, this town
they're
doesn't
closing
care.
down. They don't give a fuck.
Yeah, those small Florida towns never wore a mask because I went in the middle of COVID down south to one of the small Florida towns and walked in. I was like, holy shit, like right in the middle of it, and no one had nothing. And I was like, wow, it was like going back in time.
Different over here. All right, you want to do a couple voicemails?
Yeah.
All right, these came in hot because of Ross's story on the BDM show on Tuesday. This guy left 2 of them, so I'm just going to give you both of them. Here we go. Ross, for you.
So in regard to Ross, in regard to Ross getting pulled over, what if you put your hazards on immediately when the lights come on to let the cop know that, like, hey, I see you, and I'm going to find a safe place to pull over? I've never tried it. Just a thought.
I mean, just to recap quickly on the BDM show, Russ, you got pulled over, and you took a little bit longer than maybe the cop thought you needed to take to pull over. That's why we're sort of referencing this. What do you think of his hazards?
Well,
put your hazards on. When the cop puts his lights on, you put your lights on.
But technically, I know they changed the law, but that's illegal to drive with your hazards on. I would be
rain, right? You can't do it just for rain.
But I don't think you could just drive with your hazards on normally. Like your hazards are for when you're stopped and there's a hazard.
So you're claiming hazard lights, blinking yellows on all 4 corners are only when you're not moving.
I believe now they changed the law, but I think that's the way it used to be. You weren't allowed to drive with your hazards on. I would
That's
be afraid.
What my dad told me. So I a lot of the look, my shit's outdated. I get it.
Like I'd be afraid the cops
told me they were for when you're stationary. You're not supposed to drive with your hazards on.
I'm going to give you
That's what I learned.
A ticket for your registration and a ticket for driving with your hazards on. Like you're actually committing another
But we
crime.
may be wrong.
So I will answer. Like I like the idea. I like the premise of this, but I don't think the problem wasn't that he didn't think I didn't see him. He knew I saw him. Like he flashed the blues. I got over a lane. He came with me. I kept getting over. Like clearly, he knew I saw. That wasn't the issue.
Hold on a second. I'm
signaling to him that I knew that I'd already done that in my mind. And also the one thing I will say that I think precludes this whole argument is he shouted all kinds of stuff at me that I shouldn't do in the future, and it never came up that like if there is ever a situation where you can't get over, put your hazards on, and then I'll know. Like he basically told me just get over second you see a cop, no matter what, you dummy. And there was no where he was like, here's what you do.
Yeah,
we got something that's blowing my mind right now in the chat room, and I got to bring it to your attention. So Crystal Lapice in our Twitch chat room says, no, you can't put on your hazards because you got to put your hazards on to parallel park.
Whoa.
I have never heard that you put on your hazards to signal you parallel parking. I've never heard it. Is that a thing?
No, you turn signal
you put on
whichever
your regular
way you're
turn signal, and the person hopefully behind you, but they won't, will realize that you want to get into the spot, so you're going to go up beside the car tight and then wing it in. But they won't. They'll get right on your ass, and then they'll put their hands up and be like, what the fuck? And then you'll
that
be
happens to me out here all the time.
I know it does. I've watched it. And,
but I don't say I just keep driving. I'm like, you guys block me.
Is that really a thing?
No.
I've never heard that.
Okay, Crystal, she's saying maybe I'm over signaling and then laugh out loud. I get it. No, I've never heard that.
Yeah, and that would confuse me if someone put their hazards on. I would think they just car broke down.
I like that though. I do like your hazards. Not to fault. I'm not going to fault her at all. I do like your hazards being for something more than like. Okay, I'll give you for instance on my Tesla. You can hit I have it programmed where I can hit a button and my hazards will flash rapid fire to let you know, like, thanks for letting me in.
What?
So like,
like a thank you hazard?
Like a thank you hazard.
Like,
yeah. Like I'm flipping my cock. Like,
I wouldn't know
like
that
this.
meant
It's like,
thank you. Though.
You know what? I'm on Team Elon now. That's pretty cool.
I knew you would.
Like
I knew you would.
What hazard? That was good.
Yeah, I do. That's what it does. So like, if you let me in and I put my hand up, I hit the button and it goes, and then all my lights, it's like rapid fire strobes. It's pretty cool.
So it dawned on me that I remember using my hazards a lot more when I was poor, like really poor.
Hazards are for poor people.
My truck.
That's such a funny thing.
It's true. Because now that I think about I bought my new truck.
Hazards are only from
DM
shitty
Chevy
cars.
Yeah, like I've never
You're
used
breaking down all the time. Yeah.
I've never used my hazards on my new truck.
Yeah, you have a nice truck.
But for years, my piece of shit, the Berserker, my old truck,
Ross's
my first
Subaru
truck
has baseball leather seats, like beautiful grained leather seats. He'll never use his hazards on that thing.
Do you know what though? When he came around me and cut me off and was in front of me,
the cop. Yes.
I did immediately put my hazards on because at that point I was like, I am the one presenting to traffic coming at us now. So I did put my hazards on at that point.
You should have pointed that out to the cop. I just want to let you know.
And really, hazards are only effective at night, right? Because during the day, I mean, that's not going to stop someone from slamming in the back of you. They see you're parked there, right?
Just a little bit more visibility. But yeah, I think in my mind, the only reason for hazards is that you're in a spot where like high speed traffic could be occurring, but you're stationary. So like, hey, here's my hazards. Pay attention to me. I'm a hazard. I'm a hazard to the normal operation of the roadway. Watch out. If your car's rolling, you're not a hazard.
How
so
good
turn
are
your
you
hazards
guys
off.
at parallel parking? I think women are better. My wife is really great. Crystal's saying she's really great. Norm's backing her up. You're pretty good.
Well, from working here for 9 years, I could parallel park here.
And your boat. I feel like from your boat.
Yeah,
and from as many boat adventures and I feel like your boat, like you have had so many trailer fucking problems that
I'm gonna call my sister because there's
I'm foreshadowing. I didn't mean to do that. That was subconscious.
She's had one today.
That was subconscious. I did not mean to do that.
But you know what? Like Crystal is really good at parallel parking.
She's a good driver,
and
she's fast as fuck though. She scares me a little bit.
And
very fast driver.
She has like a routine to parallel park, which I think a lot of people have.
So does Andrea.
Yeah. Like every time I parallel park is different.
What do you mean?
Sometimes he takes his seatbelt off, takes his pants off, starts jacking his dick while he's back.
I don't even understand what you mean.
Yeah, puts
there's
his windows down.
Like it's always eyeball. Like I never go. You know, you're supposed to pull up to the car in front of you, right?
Yeah.
Parallel to that.
To the window.
And then that tells you you're at a good distance to then back in and swing yourself.
I put my window with their window, and
I
bring it close.
Like people have like a way. Every time I do it differently. Like it's a different length. Sometimes
I don't even understand what you mean.
Like every
it's
process.
never standard.
Yeah, every process he goes to back in, there's literally no repetition to it. Every time his brain starts it new, it's a fresh process.
yeah, it's like the first time.
That's
I've done
wild, isn't it?
And then I have to figure out how to do it for the first time every time.
It's like a baby learning to, like, a baby becoming conscious. Like,
there's never.
I don't know, but it's like a baby saying, so this is a fork, right? You poke the food with it and bring it to your mouth, and then the baby stabs itself in the eye. I don't
No.
He just said what you do.
No, but he's able to do it.
He knows.
No, but Crystal, like, okay, I'll explain. So when Crystal parallel parks, she pulls up exactly like Daniel
I
said,
do it too.
window to window
I
to
bet
the
you
car.
we do the same thing because we're emotional people.
That's the one way to parallel park.
And then she turns the wheel the entire whatever direction. I don't even know because it's not stuck in my head.
You don't know the process. Because see, that's proof. That's proof.
And then she backs in and it's perfect every time, right? But every time I do it, I'm like, oh, it's time to do it. And then I'm like, how should I get this done? And then I kind of like, I don't pull up exactly the same. Sometimes
Finally, we do the same thing. This is what I used to do.
Different distances every time. I'm like, oh, let's get in there.
This is why we're in business together. This is exactly what I would do at the Orlando City announcements at the stadium. You're wiping your brain clean.
Yeah.
I applaud you for finally doing the Dan method. You pull up, you're like, I have to parallel park, and parallel parking is hard. Wipe your brain clean. Figure it out, dickhead.
Yeah. And then I always figure it out, but it's always a little bit different. It's never perfect.
I love this.
And I do tell myself every time, I'm like, man, I should adopt some sort of process.
But never do.
Because it would probably be perfect every time and easier for me instead of this complicated process where I figure it out on like an improv. And sometimes I like get a little too close.
This
and
is
I
one
have
of the best things he's ever
Austin
said.
Powers in it.
Yeah, I'm so proud of him.
I have to see this because it's like saying you have a different way of walking. I don't do left right. I got a different way of walking. What the fuck are you talking about?
But it's all kind of the same. But I'm just saying it's not. I believe people have like a here is the rule. I stop at this point.
Yes.
Turn.
There is a way.
But I do. But I kind of do the way.
He wings it every time, but a new wing it every time.
Yeah. Where it's all kind of the same, but it's like micro differences.
Yeah.
Where no parallel park is ever the same.
It's like I've convinced, and
It's a disease.
We were going to talk about this, but I've figured out a way to get ChatGPT now through a series of prompts to copy any logo, it's got to be highly illegal. They're probably going to figure out a way to shut it. They're going to have to figure out a way to shut it down. But the thing that it does that I appreciate is it only changes about like it seems like less than 1%. Like you look at it and it'll do like a Mountain Dew logo and it'll just be like just a little bit different. Now, if you put it next to a Mountain Dew logo, you'll see the difference. If the original logo was never there, you would think it was the logo. That's what you do with your parallel parking. Every time you do it a new way and you get it done, but it's just a micro difference.
And I've passed this disability on to my son Tommy. Because he's got it. Max is he's fine. He's got more crystal, whatever.
Good to go.
Like yeah.
Good to go.
But me and Tommy, so this morning, drop him off at school, whatever. Every day, drop them both off.
Yeah.
And
he forgot how to walk in the door.
and then
wiped his brain clean.
Now, I pull up. Literally, we get all the way to the school drop-off. The safety patrol's there. They come open the door of my truck door, and they literally open the truck door. And then Tommy's like, "Oh, I forgot my backpack." And then Max gets out, and then I have to drive Tommy all the way back home because
Max had his backpack.
Yeah, Max brought it.
Wow.
But Tommy forgot. Now, I will say, like half the time. Not all the time. Half the time, I do take both their backpacks and put them in my truck, so to save time because we were always late.
But you don't have a set process.
Yeah.
Right.
So I don't always do it. Sometimes, and then Crystal's like, "Quit doing that. Make them do it themselves."
That's what
so
I do.
So they learn
that is what I do.
to be responsible. And then I'm like, "Oh yeah, I forgot." And then, Tommy's like, "Oh, I forgot my backpack." But he made it all the way till the safety patrol opened the door before he even realized
I like that.
there was no backpack in front of him.
Brain wipe clean.
Yeah. And then we drove back to the house in silence. I was kind of upset, but I can't be even that upset because
you do it.
Yeah, because I'm like, oh God,
you did it this morning when you got here.
Your fault at this point.
You did it this morning when you got here. What car are you in?
No, my truck. Yeah.
He told me yesterday, he's like, Crystal used the truck today. I'm like, okay. And this morning, I said to him, I go, hey, did you give Crystal the truck? He's like, oh!
yeah. Because she has to bring camping equipment, and we're going camping down Deerfield Beach.
Adventure.
We're not even unpacked for our fucking trip, but our friends are like, "Hey, we're going camping." I'm like, "And we're in."
Right.
Go.
And I forgot I have a charity golf tournament tomorrow, so Chris, because I told Chris was like, "Are you sure we should? We're just coming back from the Colorado. We're gonna be tired." And I'm like, "Nah, I can do it. We can't turn down a camping trip or any adventure."
Never turn down adventure.
And then I was like, "I'll do all the work." And then like days later, I was like, "Oh, I forgot that charity golf tournament." And then I'm like, "You have to do all the work. I'll meet you down there." Which I'm gonna do. I'll drive after the golf
I did
tournament.
that to my wife one time, and it ended with me going to pick up the tents in the dark.
Ooh. We can pretty much guarantee you have a story for pretty much everything we've done, which is nice. It is comforting to know that you've been down the roads before.
I would like to challenge Tom Van in the "You Can Learn Any Job" challenge based on your parallel parking style. This 4th of July, I want you to run out to Pyro Spot, and we have this thing where how we load trucks, you know? Do you know about a hand truck? You've used a hand truck at Home Depot, right?
Yeah. I'm trained in hand truck.
Certified.
Have you ever done one onto a truck and loaded a truck like 2 pallets wide and filled a truck with a hand truck?
They didn't let us mess around with trucks.
Yeah.
They're all in-store only.
I want to see you loading pallets onto a truck with a hand truck because there is a trick to it, but I'm not going to explain it to you, and then it is a pain in the ass
Like
to
a
learn.
pallet jack, or you pump it up. We used to, me and the Grizz used to ride those like scooters through Home Depot.
Sounds fun as hell.
Yeah.
We bang into the shelves, and then one time the Grizz banged one, and it was bent. The legs were bent.
If you work the handle real fast, you can get it to go on its own, like that red seat toy from the 90s.
Oh,
Remember
you
that
jiggle
thing?
it back,
Yeah.
like the skateboard back and forth.
Yeah.
What are those things called?
I
you want
forget.
to take a quick call?
Yeah.
Hey, thanks for calling A Mediocre Time. Who's this?
Hey, this is Clark, the Thobogan. I got a question about that drop-off line.
Okay, yeah. We were talking about the drop-off line, and you were talking about how stressful it is. Yeah, go ahead, man.
Okay, so my random question is, the drop-off line, no matter if you get there an hour early or an hour late, everyone else gets there before you. So that time disappears. But the pickup line is the worst with it. It doesn't matter if you get there 2 hours early, you're still waiting 2 hours. And or you get there on time and you're waiting 2 hours. It's a time suck, and it sucks.
You know what I do? You know what Andrea does whenever we got to pick up? She'll park close to the line and then walk over, get the kid, and then walk to the car, and then meow, and then you're out.
A walker. Or they'll let walkers leave the school. There's still that. People sometimes forget. Like, you could have your kid as a walker and then meet them at the closest
donut shop. It's always a donut shop.
Amazing. Meet me at Big Daddy's.
Yeah, but you're right. Everything takes the same amount of time. And you know what's weird is that there are some people that show up at the pickup line like 2 hours before, and then I'm like, what are you doing? Like, how little do you have to do during the day?
Well, there's a lot of those people, especially around here.
But it's why 2 hours?
I'll see the rich ladies down there sitting in their like Cadillac.
But what benefit is it?
I don't know.
I guess you're first to pick
on
your
your
kid
phone,
up.
on your laptop.
I did the same drop off and pick up middle school line every school day for about 20 years between my 3 kids.
Yeah.
And our line was hell on earth for a number of different reasons. One of which was it was an S shape that you went through to pick up the kids, and so you come in, you go through like the bottom of the S. In the middle of the S, they wanted you to split into 2 lanes.
Yeah, the 2 lanes.
And then go 2 lanes down the middle and then reform at the end. And I can't tell you how many people didn't get that basic concept, and like either in a cutting or like staying and holding back a whole line, like just the myriad of ways people could fuck that up was a startling.
Yes, yeah.
And then there were two separate like outs. Like it was the 15 or 30 minutes apart or whatever. They let like half the school out, like our little kids, and then the bigger kids get out like half an hour later. There always was one person who was there for the later pickup and would just the people for the later pickup would get in line, and then eventually everybody early would filter out, and it would just like a blocked kidney. They would eventually block the whole rest of the S because they were there for the later pickup, and they're just going to sit there until. And meanwhile, like all the kindergartners through 3rd graders are sitting there breathing exhaust fumes.
Jesus.
I remember when the pickup had no humans, and then the next year, because it was so fucked up, they had to have a teacher go out there. It was the coach first. I think now it's like an assistant coach out there, but they had to actually put a human to direct traffic because us parents couldn't get it straight enough to be efficient. So they had to give stop, this lane stops,
and they
this
do
lane goes.
You guys get the North Korean squad
during the drop off, not the pickup. The pickup always had humans.
For pickup, you get the North Korean squad sections, right? The Squid Game where all the kids are in little squares and then they release them.
I
don't like that.
Yeah,
I don't like that. It reminds me of North Korea. They should be wild, and then it just should be reckless and running out. Well, I don't like when they're in little squares. It looks too much like those Pyongyang games where everybody, you know what I mean? Like it does.
Games,
It looks too orderly to me, and I'm like, oh god, it's weird. We never did that. Like I never had to sit in a square.
No,
and then they're
we
like,
just left.
They're like, Section 5, you're released. This is
the
weird.
bell rung. We just ran out the door. Everybody ran out every door.
I like that.
There wasn't even one door. It was like just go leave whatever
Any
door you want.
I like that, and I feel like that's the way it should be. I don't like the Pyongyang squares.
But we're all paranoid as a society now. We're like, someone's, kidnap my kid if they open the doors. So, all right. And now it's all squares, and then,
the other part was that every year, again, I did this for 20 years, like in a row. Every year, beginning of the school year, they would have a system. And it would be like, this year, like if you come in and you're waiting for the later one, you got to go back around the horn but the system was always very teacher intensive, and they would always last 2 weeks, and then it would be back to just mass chaos for the whole rest of the year, every fucking school year.
There was a story, and I think I told this on the show, Bus Loop, and then I got the second Ross voicemail I want to play. Do you remember me telling the story about my mom, like in the drug dealer, that like she was told to not say anything about. Like this parent would pull in the bus loop to drop the kid off, or
she'd be smelled like weed,
and it smelled like weed, and they're like, no, that guy's a really high level drug dealer, and like Pearson, don't say anything about it. And then I remember thinking, like, what, are they going to chop her head off or something? My mom? Were they going to, like, kill her? Execution? Like, Mexican cartel kill my mom?
In a different time, when weed was a hardcore narcotic that, El Chapo was going to kill you for,
Reefer Madness.
It was people looked at it differently. So they're like, oh, marijuana. They looked at it like it was fucking heroin.
Remember the little bike that El Chapo rode out of the tunnel?
Yes.
Yeah,
How cool is that? Right? Let's try this one. This is the second one.
So Ross is telling the story about how he got pulled over, and he was not riding dirty, but it reminded me of a time in high school when I got pulled over, and I did have some weed on me, a couple grams, whatever, nothing big. And this was in like 2008, so there was no medical marijuana. So you did get in trouble if you had some on you, but the cop specifically pulled me out of the car and asked me, do I have any weed in the car? And I told him no. And he goes, not even a little bit, because I don't give tickets, and I don't arrest people for weed, a little bit of weed. And I said, no, sir, I'm giving you permission to search my car right now. Here, you can look in my car. And my bluff worked. He didn't search my car, and he just gave me a ticket for an expired tag, same thing as Ross, and he let me go. All right, peace.
I emailed him back. I said, you got fat balls. I would never do that.
Right.
I'd never do that.
It is a good psychological trick.
Yeah.
Because it immediately tells the cop, like, oh, this guy probably doesn't have anything. If he's that quickly,
it never works on Live PD. And I watch a lot of Live PD.
When they say, search my car?
Every time I have watched, and now it's called On Patrol Live, so don't at me. They might get the name back, too. They're still in litigation. But the person will be like, look, man, I'm going to be straight with you right now. If you tell me the truth, I don't give tickets for weed. I don't do anything like that. But if I find something, then you can go over the river. Is there anything in there that I need to know about? You got anything in there at all? Anything, paraphernalia, anything old, somebody friend, you got anything in there, you tell me now. No, sir, you check that car, there's nothing in there. Okay, let's go in. And it's just a pound of weed. Every fucking time.
Yeah, but they should have jumped in.
Every time they say, no, sir, you can check it, sir. There's never been one like this. There's never been one where the guy's like, you can go ahead and check it. I'm fine. The cop's like, all right, I'm going to let you go. It never happens.
I like when a lawyer's like, you can refuse that. And I'm like, I don't know if that'll work. It's like, that doesn't seem like, if you're like, I want to search your car. Like, no.
Well, maybe you say it a different way. Maybe like if the cop's like,
I don't want
well, I'm
you
going to
to.
search your car now. And you go like, I'd be very uncomfortable if you did that.
Well, that's a mission of guilt. Everybody knows
you
that.
really got to freedom up. You got to do it out of the guise of freedom. You got to be like,
Oh,
no,
like
sir,
you're
I
alert.
just out of principle refuse to let you search my vehicle. I'd like to continue my trip, please. And, you know, like,
Ooh, I
you
like
know.
that, I like
a
that
lawyer,
voice.
yeah.
I like this accent you throw in there too.
Uh-huh,
Ross.
yeah,
That was
Southern
good.
lawyer.
But then, if I'm the cop, I'm like, well, I smell the weed. Because
Oh, you'd be a terrible cop. This guy.
No,
Are you
that's
sure
how
about that? This guy's running.
All you have to do is say you smell it. There's no way to prove that you didn't smell it. And then
This guy, power trip cop, he runs up the
That's
river
what the
for
cops
weed.
do.
Next thing you know, I'm
Hey,
on death row.
That's their invitation to search the car, and they know that. They know the law.
That's why I always carry a pound of hops in my front seat. I'm like, that's what you're smelling, officer. Let me go about my business, please. Thank you.
Let's try this one right here.
Yo, BDM Neil here. I'm listening to, one of your, Who's the Baddie? There you go. I was listening to Who's the Baddie, the Coco episode with Daniel, and Daniel mentioned space pups. No lie. I saw them live audio mixing that at Full Sail when I used to work at Full Sail University.
What's interesting about this is I don't think we'll ever get any of those movies are gone because somebody's getting into trouble right now for using live monkeys. Who was it? Is it Danny McBride? Somebody is, but somebody used so that's all gone. Like animals in movies, even if they're well treated, I think it's done.
Really?
Yeah.
Well, they have specific movie animals that they use.
But they're all going to die, and then we're not going to have movie animals
But like
anymore.
trained dogs and cats, probably. If something's a domestic animal, why wouldn't you?
You
be able
will
to
know
film
exotics,
it?
I should say.
Yeah, no,
Yeah.
like monkeys and orangutans.
Yeah.
Or
probably.
tiger.
Nothing
or
cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think they're fine with dogs and like a donkey. They don't care.
No, I don't think they like the donkeys.
Like donkeys are like mule. Like you could slap them around there. They don't feel pain.
No, are we talking about the 2005-ish film Space Buddies? Is that the film we're talking about?
No, Space Pups.
Oh.
Actually, some BDMs or listeners worked on that. They came in. We have a Space Pups signed movie poster.
Yeah, that's worth literally nothing.
No, I know. I've been wanting to throw it away for a while.
Yeah, I like that we interviewed, it's my buddy Kenny, and he used to be in a band called Cider here in town. And I went to school with like somebody he knew or something. Great guy. We love Kenny, but he gave us a signed Space Pups poster, and we got to get rid of it. It's taking up too much.
Well, I mean, you know.
Is it one of those like
It's
you
huge.
know ants in Bug's Life? Did they make Space Pups the exact same time as Space Buddies, the much more popular film about puppy dogs going to space?
No, that could have.
I don't know.
Given I've heard of that one.
Yeah. Like I, don't know where it got released or like where you can even find it now.
I wonder if they did the same thing Space Buddies did, which is my favorite thing to have in a movie, which was a fart in a spacesuit joke, but a dog doing it. It was 10 out of 10. Amazing.
Let's try this one right here.
I think Harlan Williams also did it in his film Rocket Man.
Oh, he did. Yeah, Harlan did. Yeah.
Our puppy dog pals. It all ties in. Bingo
yeah.
bungo.
Let's try this one.
Hey guys, listening to Chatting with the Masters with C-Lane. And man, as a former radio guy myself and program director, hearing Jack's Chatting with the Masters and then C-Lane's brings back so many memories. It's so crazy. I worked for the competitor down the road, but similar story. Interned for a while, part-time, begged to learn everything I could learn, begged to get on a show. Did the mornings, got up at 3:30 for about a year. That was horrific. There's no other way to say it. It was terrible. But as a radio guy, I love it when you guys have radio guys on talking radio, but I realize most people probably don't really care or get it. But love the show.
God, the 3:30. By the way, I never woke up that early for our morning
did.
show.
But it waned. I did it for a while, and then I was like, no, I gotta stop doing this. This is not good.
I'd wake up at 5:05 in Deltona and still make I'd just show up 5 minutes before the show started, and it was fine.
Yeah,
10
it was
years.
fine.
No one cared. Not one person cared.
Well, what's interesting about that is it like, and you kind of helped teach me this. If I'm just giving a serious answer to this. It's like I would pull stories. I would pull like things that I wanted to talk about. I would like put together like a list of things and then like set things up for a host because that was the way I was trained as a producer. That's just the way I was taught to do it. And I realized with you coming on and having a different perspective, which was good, that normally the host is going to talk about what the fuck they want to talk about anyway, so it doesn't really matter. I can kind of fudge a list of I don't really need to do anything because, look, that's your fucking job. You get paid the big bucks. You fucking do that. I'll just do everything else and just react to it. And it did make you coming on board did kind of awaken me, I think, to being...
Well, you're a good employee.
I am a good
I'm
employee.
a horrible employee.
And
even though I've
together, we
only
make
been...
one regular employee.
And I say I'm a horrible employee. I've never been fired, only been
you're
promoted.
A good employee.
Like
I think you're a realistic employee.
But it's like Akeem Woods, where he would admit he's a horrible employee, but people liked him, so they just let him do whatever he wanted.
He's funny.
I think that was a little bit of it.
That's why he got fired from Gringos. He was talking to people too much.
Oh, really?
Yeah. People come through the taco line, and he'd be like, "Hey, how's
that.
it going?" And he'd be like making their taco, and it would take him 20 minutes to make a taco.
Oh, I believe that. Like when he worked at First Watch, and he would give me my breakfast for free with Maisie, and we would tell patrons that Maisie and I, I'd say that he was my husband, and that was our daughter. And he gave me so many breakfast. He must have given me $1,000 worth of breakfast from First Watch.
That was probably the other thing, because when I go get like some double D's from him, he'd put like a pound of ground beef in them. Just
he
like
did not care. And they'd
double
let
Ds.
him do it. They'd be like, and they'd say things like, "Oh, did you comp their breakfast again, Akeem?" And he'd be like, "Yeah, I did."
But the thing about working for a corporation is that every corporation I ever worked for, if there was some rhyme or reason of like, hey, if you do X, we will then give you Y. Like if you show up and do this job every day, you will get rewarded with this. And then every corporation I've ever worked for, I quickly realized that nothing mattered. And there was no like, oh, this person's getting the most money for one reason, for working the hardest. It was like everybody's getting paid differently for seemingly no reason whatsoever. It was all random.
A randomness to it. Yeah.
It was all random. Some of the dumbest, worst employees were getting paid the most. And then it was just, and then no matter what you did, it didn't matter. And
you couldn't influence it.
Yeah, you couldn't influence raises or getting hired or getting promoted. Like the only promotions I ever saw, and especially in radio, was when someone got fired or quit, and then you were just next in line.
Right.
And then so then I was like, oh, okay. That's when I stopped working because none of it fucking matters, right?
Yeah,
if you show me it matters, then I'll do the work. But if nothing matters, you just show up and there's zero rhyme or reason for anything, then I'll do nothing.
Yeah.
Because you taught me that.
Or I'll at least be more realistic with my input.
Yeah, I'm not going to overly, you're going to start doing overwork. And we knew people like that. Remember that lady that worked there?
would do that. I would do some overwork. And I think you helped me be a little more, I don't know, guarded with my time, right?
Realistic in this. None of this matters. Speaking of like, hey, I'll work here, but I want to sign a contract. Get the fuck out of here.
Yeah.
All that extra work got you nothing.
Yeah, it did.
Then no one said like, hey,
did.
Keep this guy around because he does a lot of extra work. And it was like, get out of here. You won't fall into the goddamn, system.
Yeah, which is why
corporations are bad about like when they need something from you. We're all one big family. Can you kick in a couple extra hours? Can you come in on the weekend and help us all push through this crunch? But then when you need something, like, I don't know, you get pregnant or you like break your femur or something, the family doesn't work that way.
Yeah.
The family, if you can't make it in and clock in, we're very sorry. We're going to cancel. We're not going to pay you anymore, and goodbye.
In fact, you're not here? I thought you were family.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Remember the lady that was so like corporate and diligent about doing her job?
Cena.
She would so
sorry, names. I'm sorry. This guy, I'm good with them now. I'm good with the names now, and I just love telling people bad stuff.
But she would show up, like, if the radio van would be at a promotion and they forgot the speakers or whatever, she'd pull her Jeep up, open the doors, and, like, turn the radio station up loud.
We must have the station on.
Because she was like, oh, yeah, like, you forgot your speakers, and because she couldn't, like, live with herself if it didn't go right for
rules are rules.
The company, and like she was blindly like, allegiant to this company. Like she eventually got fired, just like everybody does with the corporations. And it always, and then
her story is actually really sad. Hers was, I think she ended up getting a really bad car accident, and they ended up letting her go, and she needed the insurance to actually take care of herself.
What did I just say?
Like, it was,
but that doesn't change.
Yeah.
It's the exact example you're talking. Do you remember that? And I think her husband he got even worse. He almost died.
But it doesn't.
Super sad.
But what's weird about that is, like, say they have the blind allegiance to a giant corporation that everybody around them are like, why are you so, have such allegiance to this place? They don't have any allegiance to you. They'll fire you in 2 seconds, whatever. And they're like, no, got to do my job. And then they get fired. I mean, even though they did everything right, it was just like, layoffs or whatever. And then the next company they work for, blind allegiance again, which is weird.
Well,
because
there's comfort
it's like,
in it. There's some sort of...
Didn't it teach you?
No, there's a weird... Maybe it's evolutionary or something. There's some sort of comfort in you thinking you're doing what's right for the ship, for the vessel, for the vehicle, for the Zeppelin, whatever you want to call it.
You play for the team you're on. If you're on the Patriots, you play for the Patriots, and if you get traded to Denver, you play for Denver. You're just playing football.
Yeah, but aren't you trying to do
it's called integrity, the chat room's saying.
No.
People just trying to do a good job.
No, but they go above and beyond.
Some of that was mine, though. Some of that was mine because I like doing a good job. Like, I do like putting on a good show. I like editing things the correct way.
Yeah, but the show is a testament to you, the art of that. And I always did that. Like, I never, there's one, like a year I didn't talk to him. But I knew I was gone at that point.
That's pretty awesome that you were able to do that.
I wish they gave me the biggest raise I've ever gotten in my life for 1 year.
We laughed and we laughed.
They're like, we give you $80K now. It was like, I didn't even talk.
I still remember.
Got that good. So that's even worse. I was just like, so none of it mattered. The year I did the least, I get the best.
Do you know, I remember sitting in my Volkswagen GTI. I remember where I was when you texted me that they were calling in for the meeting, and you're like, dude, they gave me more money than I ever have, and you were trying to pull off your I'm never going to talk again bit. It's fantastic. It's fan-fucking-tastic.
But that just proves that it all doesn't matter. You see what I'm saying? Like, it makes it even worse, where it's like, okay, well, then why are you going to go above and beyond? I'm not saying, have integrity with your work and whatever.
But be realistic about it.
Like I said, I didn't get fired. I always was given more money, but it's like you're going above and beyond. Like, I'm not doing extra for this company who doesn't give a shit.
Well, dialing it in correctly is the art form, I guess. My wife's really good at that. She's good about giving the right amount to the company and then leaving it. I'm not. Well, we own our own business, so it's going to be completely different. Let's do one more. I don't think we've done this one, but I think it's kind of funny.
So, I went to Kobe Japanese Steakhouse this past weekend, and don't get me wrong, I love Kobe, I love hibachi, but is it still like one of the last super racist places that nobody talks about how racist it is? Like, it's not supposed to be subtle or anything, but I just can't imagine going to any other restaurant where they are making jokes about themselves. Like, literally, the cook made slant eyes with the oil, and this middle-aged white guy thought it was the funniest thing he'd ever seen in his life. And every question you ask is followed with a stereotypical response. I'm all for hibachi, I like the show and everything, but is it still strange? I'm surprised it hasn't been changed yet, but I don't know.
It's not as good if you take it away.
It keeps killing. You know what I'm saying? Like, they're not going to stop until the customer stops laughing at it. If the customer keeps laughing more and more, then they're going to keep doing it. That's what happens.
Life is an experiment, right?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
I've been to Kobe many times. I've been to Benihana many times. I've been on the cruise ship. I've been to the one in Hedonism. I've been to Teppanyaki is what it's called. I've been on multiple cruise ships. I got a white guy on a cruise, Tom and Dan cruise.
Yeah.
He did the hibachi, and he did it straight. He did it straight white. I got white hibachi.
Oh, no accent, no.
Nothing. Just, I'm going to
Hello, gentlemen. Would you like chicken or steak today?
Welcome, man. Thanks for being here. And, he did all the tricks, but he did it straight.
Interesting.
Not as good. It's not as good. I don't know why.
The shrimp didn't taste as good.
It doesn't work. It doesn't work. I got a Puerto Rican guy one time that did the Asian accent. It worked.
Everything tastes better with a sprinkling of raisins.
Let's expand this to other restaurants.
Yeah.
All right, okay.
Like, let's, Mexican waiter brings spills like a water, like, oh, jumping over the river, like a little bit of that. Go to a French place, the guy sniffs his pits, he's like, oh, stinky.
Yeah, I'm like, oh,
Gordon Ramsay fish and chips down on iDrive. I want them wearing fake, crooked teeth, just
all rotten.
jacked up grills. I want this in every restaurant.
And then Asian restaurants, I want them to blur the food on my plate so I can't see it while I'm eating it with just my face.
But I can still tell what it is.
Yeah, I know exactly what it is. And it's jet black.
Like, I see the pubes.
The food on your plate you can see. It's when you put it right next to your mouth. Yeah. Got to blur it out right then.
The other thing I want is I want the partner to be like, I want like, is that good? Is it good or bad? It sounds bad.
Yeah. Are you crying or you like it? I don't know.
You want to take a break?
Yeah.
The name of the band is Common Saints. Okay, this is, for years I've been on a quest for new yacht rock. This is it. Name the song.
Ground floor mat.
They're not going to be able to do the recital.
Yeah.
So I do the band thing, and I put my hazards on, and I proceed to drive.
You drove with your hazards on? We just covered that.
It all comes around.
With the flaming wheel like your Ghost Rider or something?
Listen, these girls had to compete. How was I supposed to get it here?
She did ask me. She's
it's
like,
a 400-pound mat. I can't lift it.
Now, wait a minute. It does make sense that if you do have a flaming wheel, you are a hazard. That checks out. That checks
it wasn't
out.
flaming anymore. It was fine. I put some water on it. It's fine.
Okay. Yeah.
I took it slow.
I poured Mom's Sunkiss on.
Don't make fun of Sunkiss. I'm drinking it now, too.
There was a couple turns that the tire was sideways.
Yeah.
That I was a little concerned about.
I'm like, don't worry about that. The tiny axle nut will keep that.
Yeah,
You've got 6 turns.
Way, that was wrong advice because when I got here, there was no axle nut. So I don't know if it melted off or busted or something, but there is no nut.
All right.
And then,
most of my
so
advice.
Some of it checks out.
I mean, you never really know.
Of course, there's dads here with parents and all that. So I pull up and the men are like, "Oh, what's wrong?" And I'm like, "Oh, the bearings blew." And they're like, No, that's just grease. And so I kick the wheel, and the whole wheel goes bloop. And they're like, "Oh, are you a mechanic?" I'm like, "No." And my mom's like, "She's just manlier than you are."
Oh, I like that. And now they're starting fights.
Yeah.
I love this. I love this. I love how abrasive this whole thing is. This is fantastic. This is Orb Plus.
What is that where, like, this happens to Crystal a lot, where she'll tell someone, like, if they're, like, any sort of service person or whatever, they're male, and like any mechanic or whatever, she'll tell them the problem, and they'll always be skeptical of the woman knowing what they're talking about. And it drives her crazy.
They haven't given in yet. Like, I get so many things wrong, and then Andrew's like, "No, it's this," and I'm like, "Oh my God, thank you, you're so right."
Dude, my wife's an engineer. She graduated summa cum laude from Georgia Tech, and I hear some like dimwit tell her she's wrong about like something, like engineering wise. It drives me absolutely wild.
By the way, Jen is one of, if not the most capable woman I know, at least in Orlando for me. Like if I needed something like motorcycle or a jet ski or a car or something, like Jen's completely capable, more than most men I know.
But if anybody tells me something confidently, I'm like, "Oh, there must not be." You'll never like me.
So some guy was giving
this woman doesn't know.
Yeah, nah. So you and Mama Van had to like set him straight. I like that. That's good.
So Jen, with the so the tire is flaming hot, wobbling. There's no bearings anymore.
The whole trailer could be engulfed in flames at any moment.
And because the band director forgot to order a bus to the event, we all had to drive our own kids, so it was a caravan. But because I have a heavy-ass trailer with all their equipment in it, I got left behind. So when shit went sideways, all of them were already at the convention center. So I said, "Fuck it."
So what?
So it's just you and Kirk Cameron left behind.
So did you leave the giant enclosed trailer in Daytona and then just take off, or did they make you like, "Hey, you know how to fix this"?
Not my trailer, not my fucking problem. I looked over my truck and said, "That's a you thing. That's not a me thing."
Yeah, that sounds like Tom too. Yeah.
No, I don't know. I'd be like, "Oh, okay, I'll fix it." Driving, and then I have no idea.
I had to. We've been up since 4:30. Not only do I have to get Becca's hair ready and all that shit, got to get all the girls ready.
Yeah.
Then I have to go in front and pull the flooring for all the girls to perform. So my fat ass is running around this goddamn Ocean Center on stage, pulling floors. I'm not dealing with the trailer.
My God, you set the flooring up and everything. Jen, they got to pay you for that.
Yeah,
That's
why'd
a
you
lot.
volunteer to do this?
That is you're going above and beyond for the corporation.
Public school.
No one else is doing it, and the kids want to, so someone's got to, step up.
Yeah,
I'm not
yeah.
gonna let my kid miss out.
No,
Take it
I
to the
understand.
streets.
Here's what I do though. When someone's like, "Who wants to pull this trailer?" I immediately look down and say as frozen as possible.
I get on
like,
the phone. I'm like, yes, oh, my mom's dying.
like a T-Rex is looking at us.
I make up an emergency.
And then I'm like, the pressure will break some poor bastard that will be like, I'll do it.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh, yes.
Nope. The teacher has my personal cell phone number. I always get a call the night before. I keep telling them I don't want to do it. Keep getting stuck doing it.
Because they know.
And now it's stuck here, so I don't think we.
The vans
I don't
will
think
never
we
say no.
They won't. That's true. That is true.
You know,
We learned that. We learned that you're dying. You're coughing up bluegies, and they're like, you want to go camping? You're like, yes. I can't say no. No free will. I have to do it.
But whatever I said yes to, I'm going to fuck it up. So just know
I
that.
can't be stopped, but it's going to be fucked up. Just
Yeah.
know that.
Well, I'm glad. And then Becca did well, right?
Well, she placed 6 out of 7 teams, so she didn't get dead last. But they've only been doing
Top
it.
10. Top 10.
Listen,
They've only been doing it for 5 months. The rest
Hell
of the
yeah.
girls that are competing here have been doing it for 2+ years.
Top 10. Top 10.
And plus, their stuff was
Not
all
bad.
smoky, so it was the judges knocked points off for that.
Your flags had some burn holes in them.
Their mat is way too big, 400
There
pounds.
is a flag with burn holes, and I am not sure how that happened.
And listen,
It may be from the cigarette that I had to smoke after
Yeah.
the
He
full
had
event on the
nothing.
side of
had
75.
Nothing to do with the tire.
And I'll be real for a second because I'm super proud of not only my niece but any kid that does anything where like you have to go practice and then go and compete.
It's a lot.
Like it doesn't matter how good. Like if you just do those
Yeah,
things,
the
I'm like you
dedication.
won.
Yeah, it's hard.
Like because I have super respect for any kid that takes their time to go and do something, whatever it is.
It's a lot of work these girls do.
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah.
they practice 5 hours a day after school, 3 days a week. And then mom's only job, I get her in the stands, run all the way back to where the girls are, like running, and I don't fucking run and I smoke, so I'm out of breath, like gagging by the time I get there. I say, just video. Give me a video. Look at the video. Mom's bawling like a baby, and the phone is shaking. No video.
Oh, it's a shaky cry video. Yeah. That's what you get.
I got people's heads. Mom bawling.
That's her baby. You got to put somebody that's less attached in charge of video.
All right, Jen. Well, if you need someone to come fix the trailer hub, I've done that before because it's the exact same thing happened with my boat.
It's unhooked in some parking lot. I called it a day.
Yeah, there's a bunch of Daytona crackheads
You'll find it.
waving a bunch of flags down on the beach right now.
All right.
It's Daytona. It's,
Tom will get someone to
It'll be
do him a favor and run up there and fix it for you.
See you, Jen.
See you, Jen.
Bye,
Tell Becca.
love you guys.
Congrats,
I love her.
Becca. Congrats to Becca.
All right.
Thanks.
Why do these things happen to my family? It's really
kinda fun.
amazing.
It's kinda fun.
It is more fun than
It
if
is-
everything
it's fun.
goes normal.
Well, like I've been.
Like if everything goes normal, there's no story.
I'm so
See?
sedentary right
You
now.
see
like,
what I'm saying?
I've never been more sedentary than the stupid hip thing, and because I'm very limited in what I have to. Like I want an orb. I'm begging. I stand outside. Like, come on, motherfucker, get me. I'm bored as fuck.
That's called Lieutenant Dan.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, you need a little bit of chaos in there, man.
Let's do an explosion of the week to
Okay,
end the
hold
show.
on. Let me. Where's my explosion theme? I move things around, so hold on. Let's
That's
see if I
all
can
right.
do a quick. I can do a quick search. Hold on.
Explosion of the month brought to you by Modern Plumbing.
Hey.
Don't forget.
Yeah, 10% off if you use Modern Plumbing and you mention Tom and Dan. So everybody has plumbing problems. Call Modern Plumbing. They're a great family-owned business that's been serving Central Florida since 1975. And most counties in Central Florida, they service, and they can do everything plumbing related.
Proudly in their 3rd month of offering the no explosion guarantee, no Modern Plumbing employee will knowingly cause your house to explode.
No, let's see if this is it. Oh yeah, I did. I found it.
When the normal bits are getting old, you kinda gotta punt. Skippy wasn't funny and Ram Daisy is a cunt. People getting blown up is really what we want. Explosion of the month.
So what do we got today, Ross?
Oh, and yeah, they brought up Ram Daisy. Apologies to all those guys waiting on the lobby. There was a bunch of guys out there today, but I don't think we're going to have time to get to them.
Yeah, it's okay. Sometimes you got to bump the guests.
It's probably going to be a couple weeks before we get to the extended Silverfish Man cinematic universe.
Oh, I like that.
What is that?
Silverfish.
Silverfish
You
Man.
remember Silverfish Man?
Cinematic universe,
Yeah.
dude. There's a
It's a hard thing.
whole cast of characters
I
now
like
with
that.
Silverfish Man. But we're talking Explosion of the Month right now. This was sent to me by a listener. And I'd kind of known about this. This is a famous video you can find online. As a matter of fact, Dan, you and I are old enough to remember Dave Barry wrote a column about this particular explosion.
I like Dave Barry.
It's funny you brought up 1971 because we're so close to 1971. November 9th, 1970, 45-foot long sperm whale washes ashore in Florence, Oregon.
All right, I know this one.
16,000 pounds of whale lay in there, and at the time, beaches are under the jurisdiction of the Highway Department. So they send out, they consult with the Navy. They decide to use dynamite.
All right.
This guy, George Thornton, he gets put in charge of blowing the whale up because the guy who should have done it was on vacation. He was like out in the woods hunting and they couldn't get in charge with him. So like the second in charge guy got, sent to deal with this whale carcass.
Yeah, I've got him up on the screen now. Twitch.tv/Tom and Dan Live or at Tom and Dan Live. There's George Thornton standing there being interviewed by the I guess some sort of local news.
Yeah, there's a whole video. There's a big news story about it. George very extensively interviewed. He decided his load. A guy with explosives training in the area who happened to be around was like, I don't know. It seems like you guys should probably use about 20 sticks. George decided on 20 cases of dynamite.
You could just see him carrying one of the cases of dynamite, and he's like, you like throw it over at the whale, you know.
The dynamite was detonated November 12th, 3:45 p.m. The explosion caused large pieces of blubber to land near buildings and parking lots some distance away from the beach.
Oh, here it goes. Here, if you want to watch it, here's the video of it.
This is
like perfect timing.
A famous whale explosion.
Yeah, this
I
is
think
super
we
famous.
talked about this.
Oh
on
my God! Look at him go.
Years ago.
Yeah, I think we covered this like way back when we first started the podcast, but we couldn't play the video. Certainly couldn't.
It's a not uncommon way of disposing of a whale on a beach, but the goal is to disintegrate, like just leave nothing behind.
Like a mist.
Yes, like a nice fine mist. But George's blast, unfortunately, big chunks everywhere. Not only didn't disintegrate the whale, most of it was still on the beach. They had hoped that like it would kind of blow up and scatter everywhere and that birds would come and like eat the little chunks.
Okay.
But the birds were terrified of this fucking blast and they were gone.
Oh,
there were no
yeah, I didn't
birds.
think about that. You scared them away.
Just coincidentally, a guy who was an explosive expert the day before had bought a new car and the promotion was called Get a Whale of a Deal. And his car was damaged by a chunk of falling blubber.
Yeah, you could see it. Like I've got all of this on here. It's crazy.
So
absolutely crazy.
That's what I was going to ask you, Ross. This was a way that other people have used in the past to dispose of a whale.
And I think even to like modern day, like every couple of years or so, you'll hear a story of them blowing up something on a beach that's just too big to cart away, but with the stated goal of like just obliteration, not.
Why not just cut it into pieces? And then
I think that's too hard. It's be like, what do you use to cut it into pieces? Then?
I like some giant machinery, like
what?
Bulldozer,
Do we have
front-end
a
loader?
whale saw? You know what I mean? Like maybe that's the problem is that we don't have a saw that big to cut a whale in half.
Yeah, I feel like
45 feet long, 16,000 pounds of whale. Like what's a car weigh? A car weighs like 2,000 pounds.
Yeah.
8 cars of dead, rotting meat.
I know that it's gigantic, but blowing it up still doesn't
seem
logical.
I got a better idea. Tank. Get a couple tanks down there, and you get them shooting it and smushing it.
Or you're running it over.
Yeah, you get a
you're
tank.
Smush it into the sand.
Yeah, tank is the way to go.
Or dig a giant hole next to it and take a bunch
and
of
just let
bulldozers.
16,000 pounds of tuna rot right there on the beach.
And you roll it into a flower and aim for the wet spot.
I guess you'd hit water.
You made me laugh like
I've been
you
waiting.
made me laugh like a dirty uncle.
I've been waiting to say that for 20 years.
It's like blowing it. Like,
Okay.
because
But blowing it up is fun. Don't discount the fact that the reason the guy looks so happy in the video that I just played is because there is an element
It
of
is
fun
fun.
to this. Yeah.
All right, so Tom, the beach is on the whale. You stomp out there in your, I guess, mech suit with a giant chainsaw hand, right? And
That's
you
badass.
cut it in half. Now you got 2 8,000 chunks of whale. How many times do you have to keep cutting it in half until it's manageable chunks of
this is
whale?
like a
and
SAT
then,
question.
And then what do you do with the 16,000 pounds of it? Where do you?
then you put it in a dump truck and you just load.
No, you put it in 1,000 dump trucks. That's 16,000 pounds. And then that dump truck afterwards, what are you going to use it for? It's going to smell like
I got another
death
one.
forever.
You dig under the whale using kind of like what you said, and you dig from the ocean to the whale, so the ocean will take the whale back out.
Oh, like you get it back out.
You got to get it back out. You
Yeah,
got to
but
get
it
some
keeps
water
just
underneath
pushing it back.
No, you got to get some water underneath it, and then you get a team of ragtag teens on jet skis to pull them, just tow it out to sea.
It just seems blowing it up seems like it's going to create a lot of different problems.
All right, and
Like,
to your credit, this is in 1971. 8 years later, 1979, in a nearby state park, 41 sperm whales beached themselves. At that time, they burned them and then buried what was left.
Oh, okay, so
I
they
bet that's
burned
fun
it.
too, though.
It's probably like,
But it stinks, burning whale.
what do you got to put? I guess whale oil,
Lot of fat.
right? So
Lot
you
of
just,
fat on the
I
whale.
guess you just got to get it lit, and then it's good to go.
It's
Like a
hard to get it
giant
lit. You
candle.
got to have a lot of kindling
Right.
underneath it.
Yeah.
A lot of newspaper.
I'm just dropping an M80 down the blowhole. That's my thing.
That was always my job. My dad wanted to make my mom a fire because he probably wanted to get a blowjob or something. I'd have to go get a newspaper, and I'd sit over there, and because we're using wet Florida wood, I'm balling up 1,000 pieces of newspaper so my dad could get a fucking blowjob making a romantic fire for my wife. Or for my mom. Oh, my God. I just showed you the real me.
And so in 2020, in Florence, they voted to name a new recreational area, Exploding Whale Memorial
That's
Park.
funny.
And they celebrate Exploding Whale Day every year at the park.
That's funny.
It'd be awesome if they like used some fireworks and exploded like a papier-mâché whale, or some sort
We
of.
should do that.
That's a great idea. Where are we going to get fireworks?
We should do that. Let's do that here. Do you think Craig would let us
Ceremonially.
blow up a papier-mâché whale?
100%. He might even break out some of like the stuff he's got from
Do
years
we
past that
buy
they're
a
not gonna make
whale or
anymore.
make our own?
Well, could you buy like a seal and paint it like a whale or something? Where
You want it to be a real animal.
yeah, but like
dead
a dead
already.
one. But
Dead
yeah, like
I
a
think we could buy a dead whale.
Look it up online. See if.
Can you buy a dead whale?
What if we just go to like Publix and get whatever they got at the fish counter with eyes?
Okay, all right. So it's just a fish.
Yes.
So just, but we need
We'll
a,
write whale on the side in Sharpie or something.
it
We're
needs
classy.
to be a mammal of some sort.
Okay.
I'm just saying.
I
What's the
gotcha.
smallest mammal we can buy pre-dead?
Like I think like over in like Seattle, there was a bunch of seals everywhere. It seemed like they were fucking rotten with seals,
No,
and they're.
Why is ChatGPT fucking with me?
What?
I said, can you buy a dead whale? This motherfucker's got jokes. It says, no, Dan. Weirdly enough, you can't buy a dead whale like it's an eBay auction for a haunted doll. Why did it say that?
It's becoming snarky.
It's very snarky. Fuck you, ChatGPT. You don't get to say that to me. I'm the fucking boss.
I mean, you didn't learn your lesson with Maisie. Now you turn ChatGPT
Yeah,
into
this
this
motherfucker's
too. Yeah.
like a haunted doll. That's actually pretty funny.
It's not
It's
bad,
actually
yeah.
not bad
It's
at all.
good.
It's really good.
It's funnier than I am.
No,
all
you
right.
can't. You can't buy
You know what?
anything dead because it's biohazard.
Come see that show April 3rd in Brunel, Florida. ChatGPT is gonna go up too. I'm gonna book him. Mhm.
When will like you just go and listen to ChatGPT do a whole hour?
I'm already doing
I'm
it.
pretty sure it's happening already.
And then would you laugh at it just like you laugh at anybody else? Or does it have to do it and then a real person just does the hour it writes?
There are
Because-
so many comedians that I see doing that in bigger comedy markets, like your Portlands, your DCs.
Are they already doing it? Like making ChatGPT write
well,
an
yeah,
hour?
and it'll be like Richard Thompson presents an AI like
stand up.
Yeah, his AI
Right.
stand up, and
Right.
it's kind of an old thing now.
Ross, would you do that as a bit for at the Bull and Bush one night? Just do like 10 minutes that AI just wrote.
Mm-hmm.
All right, we should do
I've
that.
done dumber things.
And it would write 10 minutes of stand-up comedy, right?
Oh yeah, I mean,
Like
you
if
can
you
write,
ask
you
it
can
to-
write 1,000 minutes of stand-up comedy. Like, what do you want?
Yeah.
Yeah.
You can do anything you want at this point.
Yeah. And do you think it would be good enough where people like would be a
Here's the sad part. I think
mediocre?
it would be better than some people that really try hard.
No, I know, yeah.
And
yeah,
that's
yeah.
the scary part, right? Like, because it surprised me a couple of times with some of the little premises it has, and I'm like, that's really good. And I don't use it to write. I write all my own stuff.
Yeah.
Because I'm an old weirdo.
But if it's funnier than the shit you can come up with, then you're going to use it.
Normally, its cadences and rhymes are real bad, though. Like, it doesn't.
Yeah.
It doesn't understand that sometimes a simple rhyme works better than a complicated premise.
But
like,
if
it's weird.
If it gave you like got you 90% there, and you're like filling the gaps, and then
Sure.
and then you're like, goddamn, 10 minutes straight stand up.
I've been thinking about that. How do you feel about that? If you have a premise for a joke, and I'm a let's say I'm a stand up. I have a premise for a joke, but I'm like, man, I tried it. Like, it's not good. And then I start working with ChatGPT and massaging. It's still my own idea.
Absolutely.
Are you cool with that?
Yeah, for sure. Why not?
Because it's a tool, and I'm just using it like no different than a comedian friend that I'm bouncing ideas off
Like
of.
if I was like, if I'm writing a joke and I'm like, what's that reference? I don't need to go to the World Book Encyclopedia and
Right.
flip through pages. I'll just go Google like, oh yeah, and Google gives me, oh yeah, it was a
Yeah.
Golden Girls thing. Like I don't
Right.
see any difference. Yeah, unless you just go to ChatGPT and say, make me a comic. Like as long as you come up with the premise yourself and you're doing the work.
That's the person we want to meet, though, right? Is the make me a comic guy.
Yeah. What if it's like a very loose premise? Like,
No, I want a guy that, like what Ross is saying, I want a guy that wants to be a comedian. He literally
Yeah.
does. It's not his personality style. He's not a funny person. And he goes there and he's going to try to fake it. Because to me, that's fascinating.
Like, I've always thought about this, where what if you were able, Genie comes and says you can go back in time with all of Dave Chappelle's stand-up specials. he's
Genies
ever
don't
done.
come, by the way. I'm going to point that out again. I'm always the guy that says that.
yeah.
And then I'll insert you back into 1999, and then and Dave Chappelle won't exist, but you'll have all his comedy.
But will I look like...
It's me, a genie.
My God, you got me. That was so good. I was like, who the fuck is here?
Could you just...
That scared me. I'm like, the feds are here.
Could you just practice all of his stand-up, like all the premises,
beats.
everything like that,
Yeah.
the beats, and become... How famous would you get? Like, if I, just a white Tom Van...
See, I'm of the...
Could I do...
I am of the... This is my opinion. I think that in order for Dave Chappelle to reach what he is, he has to be Dave Chappelle, meaning something just as simple as, like, his hair. You not being black. You're not wearing a jumpsuit. It won't work.
Or even like a Bill Burr, let's say. Or like any other successful comic, a Jeselnik. If I was just stole
just
all his
purely
shit.
on the premise. You're taking purely
Yeah,
just the joke.
Would I get as famous as that person, or could I not even make it?
I think that's possible too, because a lot of it is the presence, right?
Yeah.
Bill Burr is a funny person. The concepts he comes up with are very funny, but even without his jokes, sometimes just him talking, there's a presence that is very funny.
Or like
the
a
way
Louis
Ross
CK.
tells a explosion or a confrontation, he has a style, so he could literally just be making syllables with his mouth, and I'd still understand that you were telling me does that make sense? Like, I could still understand.
You develop a style.
Yeah.
And there's a guy.
You have a great style that no one else can even emulate, that is purely yours, that if people tried to do it, they'd fail.
And locally, like a guy I came up with, so I've seen him a million times at open mics and stuff. So I've seen him like work stuff out, and I've seen him do stuff low energy and work it up to where it's high energy and it's like a finished bit. Preacher Lawson, I've seen him like, he'll start with a joke and he'll try it like kind of low, and then I've also seen like there's certain stuff I haven't seen him in forever, but like there were certain things that like if I wrote the bit down and you, Tom, got up on stage and just read it from paper, it wouldn't work. It wouldn't be anything. But like him, and he's doing all kinds of high energy stuff, and like
he's a
the preacher
powerhouse,
of it all
yeah.
too. You're laughing so hard you're pissing yourself.
It's a whole package.
And then like say maybe Mitch Hedberg, maybe you could write down his jokes on a sheet of paper, and you could get up there with the sheet of paper and be like frozen banana later, and you could maybe get that stuff across just off a sheet of paper. So like I see it varying differently between comedian to comedian and style to style.
Fluffhead Noob says that there's a movie called Yesterday that this premise is about.
Yeah.
I watched about the Beatles songs.
Right. Nobody remembers the Beatles. And the guy does.
He went back and and then but he became as famous as the Beatles, so it worked for him. Well, I guess it works with music more, maybe, because there's a lot you can emulate the exact song. So then it's like that. With stand-up, it's like a little bit different. You know, it's harder to. Although if you practice it an hour, you could probably
beats, you could do it.
Yeah, get real close and like really studied it for.
I mean, at
a
this
long
point,
time.
like friend of the show Heather Shaw, when she does her impression of Jim Carrey, it's so good. That like if I blurred my eyes and saw her do it, I'd be like, oh my god, like you know what I mean? Like just through I think her doing it. She's not an impressionist, right? I don't like that's just
she's
the one.
just really good at like
It's really like she's got a presence that it just works really well. Something that is odd that rushed into my brain for some reason, but I want to mention it to you guys. Did you see this? And I know we got to get out of here soon, but did you see that Corey Feldman was on the new lead singer of Smashing Pumpkins?
Oh, Billy Corgan?
Billy Corgan, yeah. So I guess he was on the new Billy Corgan podcast, and he said that he'd only met Billy Corgan one time, and Billy Corgan's like, no. I watched this part. He's like, no. We've met like maybe 10 or 12 times. And he's like, not true. And then, and I'm now back on Corey. I'm back obsessed with Corey Feldman again.
Yeah.
I'm back obsessed with
great.
him. Yeah,
It's
just
easy to fall in.
That one little clip of him saying, we've only met one time, and Billy Corgan saying, not true. We've met like 12 times. I'm like, this
Amazing.
guy's fucking nuts.
Yeah.
He's super nuts. So I'm back in.
I wish there was someone following around with a documentary team that could like just we can get a glimpse of like.
I think he's too crazy.
Long
every day.
Yeah.
I think it's too crazy. I think it's real. It's one of the last real crazies. See, we live in a world of fabricated crazy right now where everybody likes to act like, but I don't believe any of it. None of you guys that act, conservatorship, it's all fake. This guy, though, real crazy.
Because he goes out and gigs with that band and like, why?
Yeah. Like he's
dances like Michael Jackson.
And he's old.
Yeah.
Like you can make an argument that he's still in that Gary Busey crazy kind of generation.
Yeah, he doesn't, and we don't know whether he realizes how people are consuming what he's doing. If he's like realizes that lots of society looks at it like a joke and is like laughing at him.
And he changes. Sometimes we feel like he's in on the joke. Sometimes he's
yeah. I think that's true crazy because you're in and out of it. You're like different.
Yeah.
You think differently every day.
True crazy feels like everything you go to do at you wipe the brain clean random. Right? It's the wipe the brain clean.
Yeah.
And then like,
Every
what's your
parallel
answer?
park.
Every answer is random.
It's always different. What's your personality? Different every day.
I love it.
Book him.
It's you parallel parking.
Book him for this BDM appreciation party, or you guys don't have a hair on
God
your
damn,
balls.
we almost did, man. Years ago, we almost did. We really almost
I
booked
bet
him.
it's cheaper
It
now.
was
It's
$15,000. It was $15,000.
Oh, that's so doable.
But he was already in town.
Oh, we could have done
That's
it. We could have gotten there. We discussed getting sponsors. We don't have any money, but we discussed we knew we could do it.
Right.
It was gonna be it would be definitely
be a
asking for
stretch.
favors. This motherfucker's favor man over
It would have
here.
been a
He's
lot of
calling
sponsors.
everybody.
He's gonna be buying a lot of German dinners after that.
We were gonna do it though. We were like, you paced around in this office. He's circling this thing like a shark.
But I realized
you know where he paces.
I was like, how long could people put up with it before it just
That was
the
a good
novelty
point.
wears off?
He hit a good point. He's like, after the second song, what do you think? And I'm like, oh, what do you think?
No, you don't let him play. You ambush podcast him. You just get him on stage and just ambush interview him.
But I don't think it'll be good.
I don't know if
because
he do that.
True crazy, they're
Sometimes
not.
you throw them off. You get them out of their element and they freeze up.
Then you get a good video of him fleeing. You ambush podcast him. Either way, you're golden.
See, you've got balls, just
Yeah.
like that guy, the cop. He's like, I got no weed. I'm a pussy. I will never do any of that stuff. Should we get out of here?
Yeah, let's get out of here. Ross, where are you being again?
Check out my podcast, The Orlando Talk Show with me, Ross McCoy. If you listen to that Amy LaCour, psych therapist show on Tom and Dan. Liked it. We talked to Amy a lot. There was a Ram Davesy one, and we're going to be recording more this weekend.
Yeah, if we can get her in again, too. Like,
I love Amy.
with
She's
you,
the best.
You want to tag on that?
Yeah,
you
for
wanna,
sure.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that would be awesome if you guys... People loved her. We had a new guest this week. A shout-out to our neighbor, Miss Colette, who is a relationship
A lot
counselor.
of people liked her.
A lot of people really liked her, and she's, like, literally next door. She hears this every day, and that's for you, Colette.
I want to remind everybody, Pints and Paul's is this Saturday in Sanford. Huge beer fest. It's free to attend unless you want to drink all the delicious beers, over 100 craft beers. Eric's going to be out there. Top Golf is going to be right next to Eric.
I put Eric's legs on the camera, as you can see him there.
Tons
He's
of
out there.
food trucks, beer, and all the proceeds go to great animal charities in Sanford.
Yeah, like Pet Rescue by Judy. You know,
Yeah.
you've heard Judy on here. She's super hilarious. She does a lot of good work for our pups.
And I think that drug dealer that raises the pit bulls gets cut too.
Yeah, he does.
Just a little slice.
Absolutely.
Just
I
a
think
little
it's
slice.
Crazy Ice Killer. Was
So go say what's up to Eric this weekend at Pints and Paul's.
Yeah.
And
You're just saying that because he's here.
We will have some new merch up soon.
Yeah, we will.
We're going to have some new merch for the BDM Appreciation Party. So sign up if you want to get invited. We will send another invite out to all current standing BDMs.
And we just
soon.
But Tom, I'm sitting down. How am I going to get that email?
That's pretty good. On behalf of all of us here, we're just glad that you're hanging out with me and Ross and Tom for the business of life.
Yes.
I mean,
It's the business of life.
As the mortgages, like there's certain things that you do that it makes sense to do the best monetary thing for yourself.
I'm a bad person.
Don't treat your life like a business. Engage in the business of life.
There you go, Ram Davesy.
We'll see you on Monday's BDM and ACT shows.
Engulp.